Welcome to the fantasy audiobook, Man in Another World, Awakening Hokage System. Chapter 1. On a hot summer day, in a quiet environment at the foot of Fulong Mountain, in a pavilion in a dense jungle. Get out of here. At this time, there was a handsome young man standing in the pavilion. Next to him, a young boy about 15 or 16 years old was lying on his back. His clothes were in tatters. From time to time, blood seeped out from the damaged clothes, and his face looked pale. He was even more pale, as if his life was hanging by a thread. Not far away, there was a ferocious monster lying, which had lost its vitality. Not far away, there were a few people pointing at this place. The handsome young man, who was already in a bad mood, became even more impatient and yelled at them. "It's Feng Ning, let's go. Let's go, let's go. Feng Ning is not someone to be trifled with. Thunder's luck is so bad. He was attacked by a level 2 monster behind the mountain. It looks like he may not be able to survive. Let's break up. Feng Ning's face is not good, and he is obviously not feeling well. Haha, that Thunder is too useless." Following the discussion, the people around the pavilion dispersed, leaving only the frowning Feng Ning and the seriously injured young man. "Thunder, your boy is not really dying, is he?" Feng Ning looked at the man with his chest rising and falling under his feet, sighed, then picked him up and walked towards a house not far away. "Now, it's important to save people." A ray of warm sunshine in the afternoon shone in from the narrow window of the room and fell on the young man, but the young man lying down seemed not to feel any warmth from the sun. The boy's whole body was tense and trembling, and his chest was rising and falling rapidly, as if absorbing light from the surrounding air. Suddenly, his tense body slowly calmed down. There was a brief silence in the room. "No, eldest sister, why haven't you come yet?" At the door of the room, Feng Ning, who was staring closely outside the room, noticed what was going on inside the room. Looking at the suddenly silent person lying on the bed, he suddenly became nervous and his face turned pale instantly. "He's not really dead, is he?" As if something had occurred to him, the figure immediately rushed to the bed and shouted at the young man, "Wake up, you can't die. You must hold on, big sister will be here soon." Seeing no reaction at all, he raised his palm and was about to slap it at the young man on the bed. Just looking at the horrific wound, his palm suddenly stayed in the air. Suddenly, the young man on the bed seemed to hear his cry, took a deep breath, opened his eyes, and then panted heavily as if he had difficulty breathing. "Woodgrass. What's going on? Where is this?" The young man was stunned immediately. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through his body, violently stimulating his brain, and he immediately screamed with bared teeth, "It hurts, it hurts, it hurts so much." Looking at the unfamiliar room and the sound of surprise, I felt very uneasy and a little panicked. I couldn't help but sit up despite the huge pain in my body. With his movements, the wound was involved, and it felt like the bones in his body were being broken. Pain was everywhere, and cold sweat suddenly broke out on his forehead. "Where is this place?" Confused, I quickly looked at the environment of the room. The room was very small, with only this bed, but his eyes were fixed on the young man beside the bed in confusion, full of questions. "Who are you?" "Great, he's not dead." The young man looked at the person who suddenly woke up. He didn't care about the doubtful expression on his face before, and he suddenly became overjoyed. When you see the young man who is dressed completely differently from modern times, he is wearing an ancient warrior uniform, with an exquisite long sword hanging on his waist. His eyes suddenly became more panicked, and his body couldn't help but tremble with excitement, which suddenly affected the nerves in his brain. A headache caused the boy to scream, and he felt an inexplicable force hitting his mind. I remember that before, he was still playing online games in an internet cafe. As a senior game fan, he will try all kinds of games. He was playing a Hokage game promoted on the web, and was beating 10 tails violently with ninjutsu. The ninjutsu he used was the signature skill of Senju and Uchiha, Susanada Buddha, and finally smashed 10 tails. 10 tails' body was sucked into a vortex like a black hole. However, the black hole did not dissipate for a long time. He thought there was something wrong with the monitor, so he pointed his finger there unconsciously. At the moment of contact, the entire consciousness fell into endless darkness. This is what it looks like when you wake up. What's going on? His attention immediately turned to himself. He raised his hands and looked at it, and murmured in disbelief. His last memory had to stay in the darkness, and he lost consciousness after that. Looking at the completely unfamiliar environment, his Adam's apple moved slowly, but his mouth opened wide but no sound came out. He swore to God that this was definitely not his home or a hospital. He had never seen these furnishings and decorations before. All this seems like a dream. What the hell is this place? The boy shouted, looking at the environment that was incompatible with modern times. He was very panicked. There was no computer, no lights, nothing. Young Master Lei, you won't be beaten stupid by a monster, right? This is the back mountain of the college. Hearing this, the handsome young man looked at the person on the bed with some doubts. When he saw that the person had woken up, he felt nervous. Also relaxed. College, young Master Lei. After hearing the man's words, the room suddenly fell into a brief silence. The boy's brain was frozen, his eyes were staring ahead blankly, and the corners of his mouth kept moving up and down. Young Master Lei, are you referring to me? I'm just playing a game. Is it wrong? Is it wrong to play a game? His eyes were dull and he kept muttering in his heart. Time travel. As a young man in the new century, I have read many novels. Isn't this similar to the plot of the novel? Just some bad luck. I don't know whether to cry or laugh, but when this happens to me, the feeling is completely different. The young man was still a little excited, and the thoughts in his mind were beating violently. Suddenly, Lei felt a force suddenly hit his mind, and his already weak body fell towards the bed as if it had lost support. Ah! After a scream, the boy immediately lost consciousness and passed out. At the same time, rapid footsteps were heard outside the door, and after hearing the shrill screams, they even sped up. Feng Ning, what are you doing? What happened to my elder brother? Two voices sounded outside the door at the same time, a cold female voice and a plain voice. The door opened, and the first person who came in was a woman about 20 years old, with 3,000 black hairs fluttering in the breeze. She was extremely beautiful. Following her in, there was also a young man, tall and handsome, who had three characteristics with the person on the bed. Very similar. Brother. After the young man entered the door, he looked closely at the man lying on the bed covered in blood. Immediately afterwards, the dull expression changed slightly, and the figure quickly passed the woman in front, seeming very nervous. Feng Ning, my eldest brother, what's going on? Then he questioned the young man from before. The handsome young man, no, his name should be Feng Ning, just shook his head with a wry smile. He was attacked by a level 2 monster in the back mountain. When I arrived, it was already like this. When Lei Ming heard this, his eyes tightened and he just stared at Feng Ning. Quote. Now is not the time to hold people accountable. If you don't want Lei to die as soon as possible, then. The woman behind her had a cold face, her sharp eyes were locked on the two figures in front of her, and she said lightly, but her tone was so cold that it made the two teenagers in front of her shudder. Get out of the way. Yes, eldest sister. After Lei Ming and Feng Ning called out quickly, they quickly stepped back and cleared the space in front of the bed. The woman stepped forward and began to examine the injury. After a while, the woman who was frowning suddenly relaxed. What a tenacious life. After the woman checked, she almost screamed and looked at the person on the bed in disbelief. What's wrong, Sister Yue? Lei Ming and Feng Ning came up and asked. It's okay. I was hit by a monster and injured my muscles and bones. I fainted from the pain. The cold voice sounded again. Looking at the wounds on Lei's body, he couldn't help but frown again. Get out of your way. Then a jerky spell sounded, and as the staff in his hand was waved, a bright light lit up in the room. Healing. The bright light condensed towards thunder. At the same time, the bleeding wound was stopped under the treatment of the light. Although level 4 healing magic is useful, it can only heal superficial wounds and the more serious internal injuries. Looking at the still trembling body, the woman couldn't help but sigh in her heart. The injury was still too serious. She can survive. It's nothing short of a miracle. What she just said was just to comfort her brother. Great, the injury has stopped. Feng Ning clapped his chest with both hands and breathed a sigh of relief. Are you still afraid? This time the treatment was timely. If it had been later, the woman shouted angrily, you were too courageous to let him go to the back mountain alone. Yes. Before he could finish speaking, Feng Ning quickly agreed, regardless of the furious woman. The woman looked deeply at Feng Ning, turned around and glanced at Lei Ming, and said slowly, Lei Ming, you go back first and leave this place to me. Your brother is fine. And you, get out of here too. Yes, yes, eldest sister. Feng Ning heard this and turned around and ran away without saying hello. She disappeared into the room and she probably even used her fighting spirit. Then big brother will trouble sister Yue. Upon hearing this, Lei Ming nodded calmly, looked at Lei Ming's scarred body, seemed relieved, and then turned and left. The room suddenly fell into silence. After a while, the boy on the bed seemed to be stimulated by pain, frowned and opened his eyes. Woke up. The woman standing by the window, looking at the scenery outside, turned her beautiful face and looked solemnly at the boy lying on the bed. Seeing the young man struggling to get up, he quickly shouted, Don't move. She was aware of the condition of the boy's body, and appeared beside the bed in a flash, leaning over and pressing down on the boy's body gently. The young man blinked at the woman in front of him, smelling the faint fragrance coming from the woman. It was so unreal, as if he was in a dream. I actually traveled through time. And it's a world of swords and magic. I actually traveled through time. And it's a world of swords and magic. In the coma just now, with the information he got in his mind and being bombarded by countless novels, he recalled the scene he had just passed. His soul passed through, and when he woke up, he was already in the body of this dead boy. He patted his head and began to think about the information about his former master that was in his mind. After a while, the young man had an urge to commit suicide. Others who traveled through time were either princes or emperors, or handsome young men with extraordinary talents. They hugged each other, gave out endless money, and made endless money. Ahem. This is a world where strength is valued. The person he traveled to was also an eldest young master, named Lei Ting, and he was also the eldest son of the wealthy marquis mansion of the Longwu Empire. However, what was surprising was that this young master did not have the corresponding cultivation talent and supporting resources. It stands to reason that when such a wealthy family chooses a wife, they not only look at the woman's appearance and temperament but also her martial arts talent. Offspring with high talent are more likely to give birth to geniuses. At the age of 16 this year, he is not only frail and sick, he has not even entered the level of cultivation in this world. He is like a useless person and only has the title of the eldest young master of the Marquis Mansion. Not only that, his mother died shortly after giving birth to him. Later, his father gave birth to a younger brother. He was talented and intelligent, a prodigy in martial arts, and was favored by the Marquis. And he has the title of eldest young master in the Marquis Mansion. Especially since his younger brother is far superior to Lei Ting in terms of cultivation and talent. Due to various factors, his life in the mansion has been unsatisfactory. He suffered a lot on weekdays. Even the servants in the Marquis Mansion did not take him seriously. The reason why he was lying here was because the young master of the Feng family asked him to meet in the back mountain. However, when he arrived at the back mountain, he didn't see anyone. Instead, a crazy level 2 monster came. With his useless physique, the consequences can be imagined. If Feng Ning hadn't rushed over, this body would have become the meat in the belly of the monster. For the time traveler who started like this, Lei felt a bit dumbfounded. He felt that life in the future would be even more difficult. Which god tier did he offend? Lei thought blankly like this, as if he was stupid. You were lucky this time and did not die under the claws of the monster. Sister Yue's faint voice sounded, and Lei also reacted from his thoughts in a daze. You're not stupid yet. The woman looked mockingly, looking at Lei Ming who had come back to his senses. Boy, do you think you are too lucky, or do you think you are strong enough? Then, the woman became angry. Are the monster's claws not sharp? Look at your end, with broken bones, wounds all over your body, and bleeding. The woman stared at Thunder with wide eyes. Sister Yue, Lei looked at the furious woman. This was his fiancée's sister. He naturally knew the name due to the fusion of his memories. He just opened his mouth, but didn't know what to say. Suddenly coming to this strange world, he didn't know how to survive. Feng Yue looked at Lei's pitiful expression, sighed softly, held the staff tightly, a harsh spell sounded in the room, and the staff glowed brighter and brighter. But it's not dazzling in Thunder's eyes. Quote. Light healing. As the chanting stopped, the soft light broke away from the staff and shrouded his body directly. Lei suddenly felt that his internal organs were wrapped in a kind of warmth, and he felt sore and painful. Level 5 light magic, according to the fused memory, is already an intermediate to high-level magic, and healing light magic is even more rare and precious. Feng Yue further treated Lei Ming, but the reason why he did not use it in front of Lei Ming and Feng Ning was to conceal the specific injury of Lei Ming. After using light healing several times in a row, Thunder's injury was stabilized. Lei Ting didn't speak and just let Feng Yue do what he wanted. Okay, my life is saved. Feng Yue exhaled slowly. Thank you, sister, Lei said gratefully. Looking at Sister Yue's forehead, there were even light beads of sweat. Obviously, the high-intensity use of level 5 magic took a lot of energy from her. Feng Yue just shook her head, took out a box from her arms, opened the lid, put it on the bedside and said, Thing Lei, this is for you. Lei looked back and stared straight at it, only to see a bright red jade-like blood ginseng lying quietly in the box. This blood ginseng looked to be at least hundreds of years old. It was a fine product for nourishing wounds and nourishing blood. Good medicine, 1 tablet at a time is enough. Moreover, the medicinal properties are mild and the medicinal power is powerful. This blood ginseng is worth at least tens of thousands of gold coins. Lei has never seen such a large amount of money in the Marquis mansion. Lei paused for a moment, shook his head with a wry smile and said, I can't have this blood ginseng. Family affection. How could there be any affection between them? It was probably for the sake of her sister. But the blood ginseng was too valuable. Lei Ting knew his current situation. Although he was the eldest young master of the Marquis mansion, his status seemed noble, but he was nothing. Take this healing medicine, otherwise your body won't be able to hold on at all. To heal your injury, I'm afraid only the blessing of light, a level 8 magic, can be cured. And this magic can only be used by the Archbishop of the Church. The Academy cannot. No. Feng Yue sighed and looked at Lei Ming with complicated eyes. This thin young man, she watched her sister grow up with him. Lei Ting and her sister have practiced together and played together for so many years. Although they have not yet been married because they are still young, her sister has already developed feelings for Lei Ting. Hey, Feng Yue sighed in her heart. She also knew a little about Lei Ming's situation. In fact, the marriage contract with her sister was not more suitable than that of his younger brother Lei Ming. It's just that in the choice between Lei Ming and Lei Ming, she supports Lei Ming more. Lei Ming does things unscrupulously and even violates Hado's moral bottom line, which is not a good match at all. When looking at a person, look at their character first, not to mention the Feng family, which is also a top wealthy family like the Lei family. Have a good rest and wait until you go home to recover from your injuries tomorrow before returning to the academy. After saying that, Feng Yue turned around and walked out of the room. Lei looked at Feng Yue leaving, remained silent for a while, and then quietly picked up the blood ginseng. Thunder. He took a deep breath. Now that he has come to this world, he must live well. Isn't this just a standard wasteful start? Internet novels all write like this. They start out useless, but on the way to a comeback, passers-by are shocked. Holding back the pain, I tore off a piece of bloody ginseng, and the next moment, I couldn't wait to put it into my mouth. Suddenly, an electronic sound sounded in Lei Ting's mind. Energy material detected. System turned on. System binding successful. Lei was suddenly shocked. The voice was still echoing in his mind, and the blood ginseng in his hand disappeared out of thin air without being noticed. When Lei reacted, he looked at his empty hands, without any trace of blood ginseng. My blood ginseng. A scream like a slaughtered pig rang out, startling the birds. This was his life-saving blood ginseng, and it was just gone. If the box on the windowsill hadn't proved that the blood ginseng existed. However, immediately after, Lei became excited and full of shock. System. Is cheat coming? The world is vast and the system is the largest. On the way to his rise, setting foot in another world is no longer a dream. When binding for the first time, the system detects that the host is in a residual health state and needs timely treatment. At the same time, a cold voice sounded in his mind again, and at the same time, an interface floated in front of Lei. which was similar to the character status interface of online games, but it was just a simple introduction. Name: Thunder. HP value: 5 100ths. Spirit value: 22 100ths. Contribution value: 300. Status: hanging by a thread. Start treatment. Everyone in Thunderbolt was dumbfounded. Why did they heal me before I even reacted? What system is this? What's going on? Why is there a green light coming from my head? This is definitely not a serious system. No, my whole body was shrouded in green light, and the green light body instantly merged into his body. You boss is awesome. A magical scene appeared. A stream of pure energy was directly injected into Leilei's body. He suddenly felt that his internal organs were surrounded by a kind of warmth. The scars in his body were quickly repaired at a speed visible to the naked eye, which was faster than the light healing magic used by Feng Yuer. Too strong. The comfortable Leilei groaned out, and after a while, Leilei fell asleep under the treatment of the system. In the dream, the familiar voice appeared again. Hello, host, it's my pleasure to serve you. You can call me, 9 Trumpets. You can call me, 9 Trumpets. Leilei looked at the picture that appeared in his dream, and a virtual interface appeared in front of his eyes. He was stunned for a moment. Looking at this familiar picture and familiar interface, he felt that he had returned to Blue Star again, playing games. It's the third-rate online game. This was simply outrageous. Leilei looked at the picture that appeared in his dream, the familiar Q version of the Nine-Tails Fox, which was the navigation wizard in the Hokage game. He never imagined that an online game would take him through time. What genius made this online game? Why don't you design a Shenxia game? If you want to travel through time, you should also bring our high-end system, step on the flying sword, fly out with a beep, come without a trace, and leave without a trace. Fascinating thousands of girls, stepping on the feet of natives from other worlds. That picture is so cool just thinking about it. However, now all dreams are broken, only ninjutsu in Hokage. However, ninjutsu is also the use of the power of the 5 elements. He has also read part of the Hokage ninja. Although his understanding is not comprehensive, the ninjutsu seal gestures are also based on the Lin, Bing, Fight, J. Kimin 9 characters. The extension of the mantra is also one of our Taoist secret techniques. And there is also Sage Jutsu in Hokage. Although it is not as good as real Sage Jutsu, it is still in the category of Sage Jutsu, isn't it? So, if he practices ninjutsu, he will not practice Sage Jutsu in the end. Thinking of this, Leilei laughed and felt much better. Regardless of whether the cat is black or white, it is a good cat if it catches mice. 9 horns. Leilei looked at the attribute introduction on the virtual interface and asked, what does the health value of 5 100ths mean? Does it mean that I only have 5% of my health left? Yes, host. Zhu Xiaoxiao said. This is the host's health. As a host bound to the system, the body is different from ordinary people. Even if the whole body is broken or even loses all blood, it will not lose life. You can understand the blood value is your life value, 100 is the highest blood volume. The smaller the value, the unexpected residual health, 0 100ths means death. Quote, isn't this the same as the game setting? Will you die if your head is cut off? There was such a bug setting, and Leilei became even more interested. Host is advised not to try it. So is this a game world or the real world? Everything in this world is real. 9 horns, let me introduce you. Host can gain experience points and contribution points by killing people or monsters in this world. Experience points can improve the host level, and contribution points can be exchanged for various ninjutsu in the system. There is another point worthy of the host's attention. If an innocent person is killed, the host will be punished by the system. After a while, Leilei basically understood that the mode of killing monsters and upgrading was the same as that of third-rate web games. The only difference was that this was a real world. At this time, Leilei faintly felt a surge of heat in his body, extending to all parts of his body. The cue board in front of Nine Tails flashed, and a clear voice sounded. The energy in the body is detected. Energy conversion in progress. The chakra energy system is transformed into another world's energy system. This heat flow only lasted for a short moment and then dissipated. Leilei can clearly feel the flow of energy in his body, but the power is pitiful. I'm afraid it would be too much to release a low-level ninjutsu. The energy conversion is completed. Host can use the power system of this world to release ninjutsu. At the same time, some options are listed on the virtual screen, including ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu, shopping mall and other options. Lei Lei looked at the interface and excitedly clicked on the Chunin technique option, and the interface flashed momentarily. Lei Lei looked at the interface frozen in front of him and was stunned. From the lowest E-level ninjutsu clone technique, transformation technique, substitute technique, to S-level secret ninjutsu flying thunder god, Reikiri, etc. from top to bottom, according to ninjutsu levels E, D, C, B, A, S, and Hokage the world's blood inheritance limits, secret techniques, immortal body, Sharingan, Byakugan and wood style, magnet style, ice release, etc. are all available. 9 horns, are you moving the entire Hokage power system here? Lei Lei couldn't help but ask curiously. Yes, host, letting you set foot in another world is not a problem. When Lei Lei heard this, he was immediately speechless. Although it was true to his heart, this system was too unfair. I was in a happy mood and didn't care about the system problems until I saw the exchange value behind ninjutsu. E-level ninjutsu. Clone technique needs 100 contribution points. D-level ninjutsu. Binding technique requires 500 contribution points. C-level ninjutsu. Great fireball requires 1000 contribution points. The further down, the higher the level of ninjutsu, the higher the combat power and the higher the contribution value. Then, a tragic cry was made. Your grandma's 9 speakers. What kind of broken system is this? Give me wood style. Give me Susanna. My 3 major ice skills. Life-saving flying thunder god. Why do you need such a high contribution value? S-level, blood inheritance limit and top secret techniques cost more than 1 million, while wood style and Susanna cost more than 10 million. System, who are you looking up to? You're giving me too much face. Thunder's mood cooled down as his contribution increased. His dream of the Susanata Buddha was also shattered. Lei Lei grimaced and suddenly felt like crying. He also expected the system to take him off, charm thousands of girls, and reach the pinnacle of life. It seems that in the short term, there is no chance and I can only be the 6th one. Then, he discovered that there was a line of small words at the top of the system. Host, Thunder Ninja Apprentice comment. I am a rookie, a little better than civilians, but worse than the students in the ninja school. Come on, young man, and try to upgrade as soon as possible. Upon seeing these words, Lei Lei's face turned green. I'm a newbie, there's nothing wrong with me. Deeply despised. 9 trumpets, come out. Let's talk and show you my sandbag-sized fists. After saying that, Lei Lei shook his clenched fist in front of the keyboard 9-tails fox. But, there was no response. Continue to look above and upgrade to the next level, Genin, which requires 5,000 experience points. His face suddenly became even uglier. Upgrade. Need to upgrade. That is to say, I have no level limit. As long as the experience points are reached, I can upgrade to a higher level. Lei Lei said in surprise, which means that he does not have any training threshold. As long as he keeps gaining experience points to upgrade, that is, there is no need to worry. When you encounter a threshold, you will never be able to break through it in your life. Martial arts cultivation in this world is also divided into levels. From the lowest apprentice swordsman, junior swordsman, intermediate swordsman, senior swordsman, great swordsman, sword master, great sword master, mad sword master, sword master is divided into 9 levels. Each level is more difficult than the first. How many geniuses are blocked by the great swordsman and cannot take a step forward? Whether you are a swordsman or a magician, they have a very important relationship with skills, inheritance, and background. Without good training skills and resources, it will be difficult to reach a higher level of swordsman realm. The sword master is the realm that many warriors aspire to, and it is also a watershed in a warrior's training. Once the body is refined successfully, the warrior's lifespan is greatly increased. Moreover, you can also be made a noble by the empire, and you will be well dressed and well fed throughout your life, and your descendants will be blessed. But it is even rarer to successfully refine one's body and break through to become a sword master. Ha ha, Ju Xiao Xiao, I love you so much. Lei Lei laughed wildly, but when he thought of the high contribution value, he instantly felt depressed. How else can I obtain contribution points? It can be exchanged for items in this world. The rarer the item, the higher the exchange value will be. Well, Lei Lei's eyes lit up when he heard the system's reply, and he immediately asked, how many contribution points can be exchanged for the blood ginseng just now? Blood ginseng can be exchanged for 5,000 contribution points, but... Lei Lei's eyes brightened when he heard the 5,000 contribution points. He could redeem a few sea-level ninjutsu, and there were extra. Lei Lei was calculating how to redeem ninjutsu, and the system's next words directly brought him back to reality. But it has been used to treat host. What? Ju Xiaoxiao, are you kidding me? Such a high-end medicinal material is not worth redeeming. Lei Lei became furious when he heard Ju Xiaoxiao's words. Play with me, right? Host, the system will collect rewards for the treatment given to you. According to the system regulations, when the host is about to die, the system will directly collect the most valuable items as rewards to heal the host's body. Treating injuries. There are such good regulations. Lei Lei suddenly became excited again when he heard Ju Xiaohan's words. His expression changed faster than changing his face. He didn't even care to listen to the following words. He only heard that the system can heal injuries. Isn't this a scammer? However, I like it. You were about to kill me right before your eyes, and I instantly recovered from my injuries in front of you, and became full of life again. It felt so good. 9 trumpets, that means I can't be killed. Lei Lei said haha. Host, you can try it. However, I would like to remind you that according to the system regulations, during the novice protection period, you can use the treatment once and only once. In other words, you have already used it. It's finished. Lei Lei's expression suddenly became dull when he heard the following words. Wow Sao, you are playing with me. Lei Lei almost collapsed. Return my blood ginseng, return my blood and sweat points, return my first time. Why is it so difficult for me? People who travel through time are either immortal or immune to death, how come I have so many problems? Although there are cheats, this broken system actually knows how to do tricks. Is this a game, or are you playing with me? Since host is a rookie, it is recommended that host defeat monsters and upgrade as soon as possible to gain experience and reputation points and improve his strength. 9 horns were still attacking Lei Lei mercilessly. The first step on the road to becoming a rookie is to have a rookie. Lei Lei looked at the virtual interface and raised his middle finger fiercely. 300 contribution points. System, you are so generous. 300 contribution points at the beginning, defeating another world. Lei Lei looked at the 300 contribution points on the interface and said sarcastically. However, he was relieved, at least it wasn't a duck egg. Looking at several E-level ninjutsu in the ninjutsu column, clone technique, substitute technique, transformation technique, rope release technique, and golden binding technique. Exchange for the clone technique, transformation technique, and substitution technique. Lei Lei decisively chose the 3-body technique. The basic 3-body technique in Hokage is the most magical existence in the entire ninjutsu system. It runs through the entire plot of Hokage. Its power is limited, but it is a unique skill to save one's life and escape. It can be said to be a bug-like existence. Okay, host, redeem the E-level ninjutsu clone technique, transformation technique, and substitution technique. It consumes 300 contribution points. The redemption is successful. I hope host will continue to work hard and strive to reach the peak of life. Lei Lei felt an extra stream of information in his mind. It was the application and detailed analysis of the 3 ninjutsu, as if it was deeply engraved in the depths of his mind and was innate to him. What's even more terrifying is that ninjutsu proficiency seems to have reached its peak. This is the horror of the system. It takes others months or even years to fully master it, but Lei Lei only needs to use his words. Then, Lei Lei had a lot of exchanges with Ju Xiaoxiao and asked him many things. It wasn't until his stomach made an unsatisfactory sound that he pulled him back. After communication, Lei Lei finally managed to understand the general functions of the system. The afterglow of the setting sun spilled into the room through the window, giving it a hazy look. Lei Lei was lying on the wooden couch, his whole body wrapped in bandages. The scars on his body were actually all healed, but Lei Lei still had to put it on. otherwise it would be strange if he ran out like this and was not dragged and sliced into pieces by people in this world. A person who is on the verge of death can be alive and kicking after lying down for a long time. I am afraid that even the light Dharma saint of this world will find it difficult to do so. At this time, the door suddenly opened, pulling Lei Lei's thinking back. A young man with a respectful expression walked to the bedside, put down the lunchbox containing medicinal food and sumptuous dishes, and said lightly, "Master, I am worried that you are hungry, please eat something." The young master is worried about your health, so he specially prepared expensive medicinal food for you to regulate your body and recover from your injuries as soon as possible. The visitor paused here and continued as if he didn't care. In the academy, only the young master cares about you so much. You must recover quickly, otherwise my young master will not be able to explain to the marquis, and it may even implicate the young master. Lei Lei squinted his eyes and slowly opened them, tilting his head slightly to look at the young man, his eyes flat. This young man is the second son's follower, his name is Wang Zhen. He is handsome and has the strength of a junior swordsman. He secretly mocked him in the past. Wang Zhen felt the look on the bed and couldn't help but feel surprised. Is this the weak and incompetent young master who used to avoid him when he saw him? He raised his head and looked over immediately, and his eyes suddenly shrank slightly. He is very aware of Thunder's injuries, and it can be said that his life hangs by a thread. Now it looks like I can't see anything except my body, but my face is a little rosy. It's weird that he can still tell the difference between a dying person and a healthy person. Even after treatment, recovery will not be so fast. Wang Zhen hid his surprise deep in his heart and did not show it. Being able to follow the young master and his wife, he is not a simple person. Young master, how is your injury? Wang Zhen slowly squatted down, pressed his hands towards Lei Ting, held Lei Ting's arm with one hand, and at the same time, slowly pressed down on Lei Ting's arm with the other hand. The place he pressed was Thunder's most seriously injured chest. At the same time, keep an eye on the changes in Lei Lei's face. Yeah, Thunder suddenly slapped Wang Zhen's chest, and he snorted heavily and frowned. He was really in pain. Although the injury had been treated, he still needed to rest for a while to truly recover. When Wang Zhen saw Lei Ting's painful reaction, he stood up and walked away swaggeringly. Lei Lei looked at the leaving Wang Zhen and frowned slightly. This Wang Zhen underestimated him. A gentleman's revenge is never too late. What's more, now that the system is with me and destiny is with me, a few months is enough, otherwise I would write the word, Thunder, upside down. Lei Lei didn't eat anything and lay on the bed and closed his eyes. He was very tired now. As he fell into a deep sleep and gradually fell into a dream, the memories of his previous life were replayed in his mind quickly like a movie. He is the eldest son of a wealthy family and has a noble status. However, as he gets older, his martial arts talent becomes worse and worse. He cannot even practice the basic skills of the family. Therefore, he is often bullied in the family. Because Lei Lei has poor talent, he will only be the lowest person in the family in the future. No one will offend those people who are destined to be at the top of the family for the sake of people like him. Until a woman appeared in his life and brought him warmth. Lei Lei on the bed slowly opened his eyes flashing with tenderness, and whispered softly, "Jar." Feng Jiaqi, the third young lady of the Feng family, the fiancée of this world, not only did not dislike his reputation as a good-for-nothing, but they also developed feelings for each other. It was because of Feng Jiaqi that Lei Lei went to the back mountain alone and was attacked by a second-level monster. Lei Lei, who is already 16 years old, to be honest, it would be very embarrassing in the academy to be unable to defeat even the second-level monsters, but Lei Lei is used to it and will not care about it at all. Host still hasn't received the newcomer gift package. Do you want to receive it? Kurama's voice sounded. Lei Lei was stunned for a moment, and then he immediately remembered that newcomers who entered the game would receive gift packages, but he didn't expect that they could receive them here. He immediately became overjoyed and thought to himself, receive it. A space backpack with a game interface suddenly appeared in front of Lei Lei. There was a simple wooden box in the space backpack. Empty backpack, have it all. Surprise, big surprise, this world also has the same space storage items as the space backpack. However, Lei Lei did not expect that the system would also bring this attribute. It's quite user-friendly, the game has it, and the system has it too. 9 speakers, can outsiders see and use the space backpack? No, the system space backpack is unique and only host can see and use it. Haha, good, good. Amid laughter, Lei reached out and pointed directly at the wooden box in his backpack. At the moment of contact, the wooden box suddenly opened and disappeared, and at the same time the sound of 9 speakers sounded. Congratulations to host, you have obtained the Grandmaster of Basic Physical Skills. Congratulations to host, you have obtained the blood inheritance limit. The limit of blood inheritance. Lei was stunned and suddenly pleasantly surprised. Fulong Academy, a complex of buildings stretching for more than 10 miles, has gathered tens of thousands of the most talented people to study here. It can be said that the people who come out of here are at the lowest level junior swordsmen. Bustling boys and girls flowed among the buildings, filled with vigor and vitality. Lei had deliberately delayed going out and left the hut where he was temporarily housed. With the familiar memories in his mind, he walked along the green path, passed through a small forest, and returned to his residence. He is the eldest son of the Marquis Mansion. Naturally, the place where he lives in the college is not a big dormitory, but a single-family villa. The location is very quiet, surrounded by flowers and trees. As soon as he returned to the villa, Lei was stunned. At this time, outside the villa, a slim woman stood there with a dazed and lonely face, her eyes were red, and she seemed very sad. The woman is very beautiful, with big eyes, black hair, and snow-white skin. She wears elegant clothes, but she looks very noble. Jar, Lei said in surprise. The sad woman suddenly raised her head and became happy when she saw the person coming. She could no longer hold back the thoughts in her heart and cried. Brother Lei, woo. Brother said you were going to die, woo woo. I've been looking for you all night, but I couldn't find you. Where are you? I'm so scared. Looking at Jar's sad face, Lei trembled in his heart and walked over quickly. It's okay. I'm okay. Feng Ning is scaring you. Don't worry, I'm fine. If you keep crying, I'll be a little cat. Lei patted Jar on the back, comforting the familiar yet unfamiliar woman in front of him. Entered the villa. As an otaku in his previous life, he never imagined that when he came to this world, he would even have a fiancée, and she was still so beautiful and charming, and he fell into a trance. It was obviously the first time to see Jar, but Lei felt very familiar and happy in his heart. Bump. Amidst the violent collision, the door of the villa was shattered due to the impact. An angry voice sounded at the same time. Sister, don't hide, I know you are here. How many times have I told you not to come here? That guy was beaten to the point of paralysis by a low-level monster, and now he doesn't even know where he is lying. Following this angry voice, Feng Ning's body stepped on the broken door and slowly walked in, with a gloomy and terrifying expression. Feng Jiaqi is his biological sister. He does not object to the marriage with the Lei family, but he must not marry his sister to a loser. He originally planned to meet with Lei Ting yesterday, teach Lei Ting a lesson, and at the same time threaten Ting Lei to keep him away from his sister. But he didn't expect that on his way over, Lei was seriously injured by the sudden appearance of a second-level monster, which shocked him. If Lei had died somewhere else, he would have definitely applauded, but the place where the accident happened was the place where they had arranged to meet him, and he would not be able to escape suspicion if he was investigated. How hateful. Why did the accident happen in the back mountain? What are you doing here? How many times have I told you not to associate with that kind of trash? Jar panicked because the person coming was his second brother. Her brother often beat Brother Lei until his nose was bruised and his face was swollen. Jar quickly pushed Lei into the house, her voice trembling nervously. Run through the back door, the back door. Seeing Jar's nervous and pitiful appearance, Lei suddenly felt an irritated and angry feeling in his heart. It turned out that he was so weak that he actually needed a woman to protect him. Don't worry. Lei pulled away the woman's hand and looked at Feng Ning. Feng Ning was tall and wearing a smart warrior uniform. At the age of 16, he looked quite masculine. However, the gloomy face completely destroyed the handsomeness on his face. Feng Ning. Thunder. The two stared at each other closely, but Feng Ning was even more surprised. His eyes widened and his hand pointed at Lei. You. Surprise, very surprise. Wow Sao, what the hell? Feng Ning was a little surprised and rubbed his eyes with an unbelievable expression. He knew that Lei Lei was not dead and had been rescued by his eldest sister, but he couldn't get out of bed so easily, right? With that kind of injury, even if it is treated, he should still lie down for half a month. Good boy, you are really lucky. Feng Ning looked at Lei Lei up and down. Lei Ting didn't even have time to change out of his bloody clothes, but he looked good and looked at him with a pair of eyes. Feng Ning twitched the corner of her mouth and said in disbelief, "Sister's strength is really unbelievable. She actually cured a waste like you." Lei Lei did not speak, but looked at Feng Ning. Thanks to him, he was able to travel into this body. Feng Jiaqi did not notice the consternation between them, but stood in front of Lei Lei and looked at him with a pleading expression. Feng Ning looked at his sister's movements and immediately became furious. Is this his sister? Sister, come here, stay away from that trash. Feng Ning was furious, and quickly waved and shouted, who is the outsider here? Actually. Jar looked at the furious second brother, gritted his teeth and shook his head. Come here, don't you even listen to what I said. Feng Ning glared and sounded stern. Jar looked at the eldest brother in front of her, and it was the first time she saw such a stern second brother. Brother, as long as you let Brother Lei go, I will go with you. What, let him go? Haha, my good sister, is useless. Okay, I promise you, I will let him go once. Feng Ning looked at his sister's stubborn face and said after calming down. Brother Lei, I'm leaving. I need to have a good rest. Jar said to Lei Lei behind him and walked towards Feng Ning. However, Lei Lei grabbed his arm just as he took a step forward. Feng Ning looked extremely shocked and looked at Lei Lei in disbelief. When did he have such courage? You're looking for death. Feng Ning shouted angrily, stepped forward, the fighting spirit in his body exploded, his body jumped out like a tiger and leopard, and his clenched fist went straight to Lei Lei's cheek. Don't want, Jar screamed, looking at the figure of her second brother speeding towards her, she ducked and stopped in front of him. In her understanding, Brother Lei could not avoid his furious punch. She could only rely on herself to force her second brother to stop. Xiaonizi, I'm not that unbearable that I need you to protect me. At that moment, a burst of heat sounded in her ears, and then a figure passed him and moved forward to meet him. After seeing her sister's actions, Feng Ning's face turned red and purple with anger, but she had to retract her fist. However, when she saw the figure rushing out, she was in disbelief. How brave! Suddenly, he laughed angrily, and then punched out again. Feng Ning, your target is me. Lei Lei gave a soft drink, and with his meager fighting spirit, he met Feng Ning. Bump. However, after all, Thunder's foundation was too weak. Even with the blessing of basic physical skills, it was completely suppressed. He barely managed to dodge a punch, but was knocked back by Feng Ning's faster punch. Lei Lei's repelled body relied on the strength of his feet to continuously remove the strength from his body, and then he stabilized his body in embarrassment. If it had been before, he would have been knocked down directly by a punch. Basic physical skills can make me more agile, but it's still too weak. Lei Lei took a deep breath and stared at Feng Ning, but Feng Ning obviously gave in to him. But Feng Ning looked at Lei Ting, taijutsu with a shocked look on his face. That's right, Lei Lei used physical skills on him just now. Although it was very basic physical skills. When did Lei Ting learn physical skills? Feng Ning frowned and thought. Brother Lei, are you okay? Jar looked at the embarrassed Lei Lei and suddenly became anxious. Lei Lei shook his head slowly. It's okay, Jar. Lei Lei let go of Feng Jiaqi with one hand, pushed him away slowly, took a step forward to face Feng Ning, looked directly into Feng Ning's eyes, and spoke in a low voice. Feng Ning, I know that what happened yesterday was not arranged by you, and I will not mention it to anyone, not even the Hu Mansion. Haha, are you threatening me? Feng Ning retracted his thoughts when he heard Lei Ting's words, and was sarcastic. No, Feng Ning, this is the truth, isn't it? If things get serious, even if you are the young master of the Feng family, it will not be easy to escape. Give me 1 month. If I can defeat you in 1 month, you can't stop Jar and me. Beat me, haha, what a big joke. Feng Ning mocked. Did you lose? If I lose, I will take the initiative to dissolve the marriage. Do you dare? Do I dare? Feng Ning pointed at herself and couldn't believe it. Could it be that this guy was beaten stupid? He smiled, with a flash of confidence in his eyes. He was a high-level swordsman and a genius in the academy. Looking at Lei Lei's thin body, where did he get the confidence? Originally, Feng Ning was still thinking about how to break off her sister's engagement, but she didn't expect that this guy would actually give her such a good bet. Ha ha, ha ha ha, okay. Feng Ning laughed and looked at Lei Lei as if he was watching his defeated opponent. Challenge, I agree. In 1 month, I want to see if you can catch my punch. Yes, Lei Lei responded with a nasal sound, then raised his hand and touched Jar's head, which was in shock. Brother Lei, don't worry, Jar, I will prove that I am not mediocre. I believe it. Feng Ning looked at the two of them, his eyelids twitching. If he followed his previous style, he would definitely take action against Lei Ting, but now he holds back. Challenge, after 1 month, defeat him, break off the engagement, and you will have it. HMPH. Do you have to fight until you and I fight to the death? Sister. 3 different voices sounded at the same time, some were surprised and some were frightened. A beautiful figure appeared in front of them, it was Feng Yuer with a gloomy face. Feng Ning's face changed again and again, her pupils shrank for a while, and she was a little frightened. She looked at Lei Lei and said, remember the promise just now. After saying that, he glanced at the eldest sister with a gloomy face, and ran away without saying a word, not looking as menacing as when he came. Lei Lei didn't say a word and looked at Feng Ning indifferently as he disappeared. Promise, let's see if I don't blow you up when the time comes. Alas, Lei Lei, why are you in trouble? Feng Yue sighed. Looking at Lei Lei in front of him, he frowned slightly. Now Lei Lei looked rosy, his breath was even, and his whole body exuded healthy vitality. If he hadn't been wearing bloody clothes, he wouldn't have been beaten. Feng Yue was a little confused, and immediately walked to Lei Ting, grabbed Lei Ting and checked it, her face suddenly showed a look of surprise. No injuries could be detected. Feng Yue couldn't help but look up and down at Lei Ting. Is this little guy's injury healed? He looked at Lei Lei in disbelief. How could such a serious injury heal after just lying down overnight? Thunder, your body. Sister, don't worry, I don't know why. I almost recovered after taking a nap after eating the blood ginseng. Lei Lei rushed to say, and if he asked again, it was also the credit of the blood ginseng. Feng Yue seemed not to have heard Lei Lei's explanation. A trace of doubt flashed from the corner of her eyes. Blood ginseng has the effect of bringing the dead back to life. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Doesn't she know the medicinal effects of blood ginseng? Looking at the energetic thunder, it's amazing, so amazing. Recalling his tenacious vitality, it seems that there is something magical about him. Is it the Eucharist? Is this possible? The holy body is an incomparable existence, and it is the genius among geniuses. He has been a martial arts prodigy since he was a child, but Lei Lei has shown. Lei Lei, let me ask you, what happened yesterday? Feng Yuer's face was full of confusion, but she didn't think much about it. Everyone has a secret, so she didn't ask more, but changed the subject and asked slowly. Lei Lei's face was stunned, then he raised his head and gritted his teeth and said, Sister, I don't know, but when I was waiting for Feng Ning in the back mountain, a crazy level 2 monster suddenly rushed out. To be honest, the monsters in the back mountain have been cleaned up by the college. The monsters that suddenly appeared are acting suspiciously, and they are also crazy monsters. Someone wants to kill me. Ah, Jar jumped up suddenly, frightened by Lei Ting's words. On the other side, Feng Yue's face changed greatly after hearing this, and she pulled Jar to calm her down. She looked at Lei Lei with a solemn expression. Try not to leave the academy alone during this period. The academy will arrange for people to investigate. Feng Yue said to Lei Lei cautiously. You don't have to worry. Neither the academy nor the family will leave it alone. Have a good rest. I will handle this matter. Okay, sister, let's go, Xiao Jar. Lei Ting is fine now, so you don't have to worry. Let him rest more. After Feng Yue finished speaking, he pulled Jar and disappeared from Lei Ting's sight under Jar's reluctant eyes. Call. He retracted his gaze from that petite body, raised a smile at the corner of his mouth, and breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. It seemed that Sister Yue had passed the test with the academy. Sister Uaa came here to represent the college this time, and he also knew that Sister Uaa would conceal the changes in his body. That's fine. Secret development is the way to go. I took a shower, put on clean clothes, walked out of the door again, and walked into the school. On the forest path, Lei communicated with Ju Xiao while walking. What level of strength does Genin have in this world? Excellent among junior swordsmen. That's it. Lei was a little disappointed. If you look at this world as a game, this point is not up to standard. Lei did not go to the class, but went and learned nothing. The power system he used was completely different from this world, and it was unnecessary. Since it was during class time, there shouldn't be many people, but Lei still met a lot of people. Why? Lei looked at the people who were staring at him with strange eyes. He already knew the reputation of the original owner of this body in the academy, but he still underestimated it. Having too much fame is also a trouble, not to mention he is the one with the worst reputation. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. Isn't this the good-for-nothing young master from the Lei family? Hee, I was very brave yesterday. I challenged the level 2 monster, but, haha, I was defeated by the level 2 monster. You're going to laugh me to death. Level 2 monsters are so powerful. It's simply a shame to our college. I really don't know how he got into the college. How else can I get in? The backstage is hard, ha. As one of the few influential figures in the academy, people pointed fingers at him, ridiculed him with words, but they were even more jealous. His status as the legitimate son of the Hu family cannot be matched by anyone. But in the academy, strength is the most important thing, and they don't attack and kill them, so the academy can't control them. Thunder was a little confused. What the hell, even if you were looked down upon while walking on the street, some people started to laugh at you. Who did Lousy provoke? Has a protagonist aura. However, after listening to the sarcasm, I was about to curse a few words to find some balance in my mind. At this moment, two men came from the corner. One of them is wearing black clothes, with a fine sword at his waist, and a golden crown on his head. He is quite handsome, but his eyebrows are similar to Lei Ming's. This person is none other than the second brother Lei Ming and his follower Wang Zhen. Lei frowned when he saw Lao Er. In his impression, he had been bullied by Lao Er a lot. I didn't look at the almanac when I went out, and I bumped into a ghost. He cursed silently. With his current status and strength, he might suffer a loss if he encountered the second child. However, Lei Ming did not hide away, and just watched Lei Ming walk over. Lei Ming paused slightly and saw Lei Ming alone. He was a little shocked at first, but after hearing those words, he frowned. Meeting Lei in public places made him very unhappy, especially as he was his nominal eldest brother. Therefore, he generally would not meet Lei in public places and would avoid them if he could. But he never expected that Lei would go out and encounter such a thing. Brother, it's great to see you're fine. The level 2 monster is not that bad either. The next day it was just as fine. It seems like the healing medicine last night was good. Next time you want to challenge the World of Warcraft again, ask your second brother to follow you to protect your safety. Otherwise, some old guys in the family will punish me again. Lei Ming said with a smile. Thank you very much, second brother. Lei Ming said lightly. Looking at Lei Ming's concerned look, he couldn't help but want to vomit for a moment. Was that tone of concern? If he hadn't known about their previous relationship, he would have thought that brothers were united and the family was harmonious. HMPH. And you, are the people of my Lei family so easy to bully? The only people in the academy that I can remember are those few. You are all clowns. What qualifications do you have to mock the Lei family, let alone me? Qualifications for dialogue. I would like to advise you to be self-aware. The Lei family is not someone you can offend. Lei Ming turned to look at the people around him with a cold expression. He had also heard what he had just said to ridicule the Lei family, so he was not polite. You. The people around him became a little angry when they heard Lei Ming's domineering words. My surname is Lei. You just had a better pregnancy than us. Why are you dragging me? If my life experience had been changed, Lousy would have beaten you with one hand. What a shameless statement, Lei Ming said. With a casual step, the fighting energy in his body exploded. After the bones of his knuckles made a clear sound, the long sword at his waist came out of its shell as if it had spiritual power. Lei Ming held his sword and slashed in the air. Following the shrill sound of sword energy breaking through the air, a ripple visible to the naked eye flew out quickly, directly cutting off half of the crown of a big tree not far away. With a rustling sound, a large number of leaves fell to the ground, and the eyes of everyone around them widened. Level 4 Martial Arts Fighting Spirit Slash. I practiced martial arts when I was 8 years old and entered the academy when I was 12 years old. It has been 2 years now. I have become a senior swordsman and I have only achieved a small amount of success. But you are only a junior swordsman or an intermediate swordsman, so you dare to speak so loudly and so boldly. Senior swordsman. Everyone looked at Lei Ming and secretly gasped. The talent of a 14-year-old senior swordsman is extremely exaggerated. After all, most of them are about the same age as Lei Ming, or a few years older, and Lei Ming's martial arts realm is beyond their reach. Lei Ming looked deeply at Lei Ming. Lei Ming took a deep breath. He never expected that Lei Ming would put on such a good show, and he wanted to applaud. This second in command is clearly trying to intimidate everyone, but he is actually trying to intimidate him, insinuations and accusations that he is really not worthy of his position. It's such a good acting performance. If you don't become an actor, you'd be a waste of talent. Brother, you think so? Lei Ming smiled brightly. Haha, well said, second brother. Lei waved his hands and looked at everyone, making a clanging sound. Also, you must remember, don't force things that don't belong to you, and don't fight for them. Otherwise, you will be ruined and you won't know how you will die. Well said, brother. Upon hearing Lei Ming's words, Lei Ming was stunned for a moment and laughed. With a clear buzzing sound, the sword was immediately sheathed. Lei Ming smiled, glanced at Lei Ming, and turned around to leave. Second brother, walk slowly. Lei Ming said something for the occasion, and when Lei Ming walked away, he added, "Bah, you hypocrite." Looking at Lei Ming leaving, he clearly understood the tit-for-tat words just now, but Lei Ming did not regret it. Of course, as a human being, you must learn to be patient. If you are not strong, you must be patient. If you are already on top, if you are patient, then you will be a coward. Moreover, Lei Ming did not dare to do anything to him, using his own body to suppress others. He understood this truth. And the system is with me, so I'm afraid of a ball. Only improving your strength as quickly as possible is the key. Thinking of improving his strength, Lei Ming thought of a place, the mission hall of Wolong College. Lei quickened his pace and walked through the busy streets of the college. This is the most prosperous neighborhood in the college. In Lei's eyes, it is like a commercial street in the previous life. Weapons stores, clothing stores, pharmacies, hotels, etc. are lined up on both sides of the road. Looking around, there are a lot of people. There are many teachers and students in the college. Most of them don't know Lei, so naturally they don't pay special attention to Lei. The bursts of aroma induced Lei to stop and turned around to see a shop, Ming Dexuan. Lei was a little hungry and rubbed his stomach. He hadn't eaten a meal since last night. Suddenly, a high-pitched chicken crow sounded, and then a majestic chicken with wings spread over the Mingdexuan courtyard wall and swooped towards the thunder. Lei had no time to retreat, so he summoned up his meager strength and punched directly. Suddenly, his pupils shrank violently and he was stunned. I'm sorry. This classmate is very sorry. The person who came was a guy from Mingdexuan. He took one look at the rooster that was killed by thunder and immediately apologized to thunder. You just looked at Lei who was in a daze and had no reaction. Could you be a fool? Haha, that's okay. Lei burst out laughing, startling the waiter, and asked quickly, classmate, are you okay? At this time, Lei ignored the guy at all and kept his mind in his mind. Ding, congratulations to host, you completed the first kill, experience value, 20, reward contribution value, 999. The 9 speakers are so awesome. Lei suddenly cursed. Looking at the soaring contribution value, his eyes bulged, showing an expression like a money man. Thunder is already dreaming about him with ninjutsu at full level, Susanada Buddha, 9 tails on his feet, Rasengan on his left hand, Reikiri on his right hand. However, reality gave him a hard blow. Contribution value. 9.99 points. Just when the number soared to 100 million, in his eyes, a decimal point slowly appeared behind the first 9. This Thunder was dumbfounded as if struck by lightning. 9 speakers, why did it become 9.9? Unable to answer. 9 speakers. 900 million, my 900 million contribution value. 9 horns, give me back. Lei fluttered his arms and yelled, as if he was crazy. The system is so unfair. Breaking the system, it's so irritating, you actually played with me. Lei's eyes turned red. Ming Dexuan's man looked at Lei who was suddenly yelling, waving his arms, and his eyes turned red, and thought to himself, it's broken, he can't really be a fool, right? Doesn't the system require me to kill monsters to upgrade? Those poultry, no, the angry chickens that are equivalent to level 1 monsters, are said to have a trace of the blood of holy beasts, haha. Thinking of this, my breathing suddenly became thicker. Staring closely at Ming Dexuan in front, the food provided by Ming Dexuan is not poultry, but New Qing chicken, and they are all freshly killed. Kill now, that is to say, there is still a living New Qing chicken in Ming Dexuan. These are experience and contribution values. This is an opportunity for the thunder. Is there any reward for killing now? I don't have enough authority to answer. Zhu Xiao said. The more you kill, the greater the reward. Insufficient authority to answer. What do you know? Lei complained. Insufficient authority to answer. Lei didn't get the answer he wanted from Zhu Xiaoxiao, but he wouldn't give up easily. He passed the guy and rushed towards Ming Dexuan. Seeing Lei rushing into the Ming Dexuan building, the man was dumbfounded. Lei's clothes are really ordinary, because this kind of clothing is really not affordable here, and the key is that the opponent has no strength at all. Such a person should be a servant of a certain noble student. However, the waiter was quite well behaved and immediately chased after him and asked, is this brother here to order food? Thunder shook his head. I came here to kill the monsters. At this time, even the well-educated man frowned. Killing a monster in a restaurant. Where did the monster come from for him to kill? Could it be to cause trouble? Get out and stop messing around. The guy was a little impatient. Don't you still have the Ang Qing chicken you just killed? Let me kill it, Lei said with a smile. What? The guy was stunned. The waiter looked at Lei rushing towards the backyard kitchen and was a little dumbfounded for a moment. Killing the furious chicken. Idiot. Just a fool. Sister Lan, this brother is stupid. Stupid. Who is stupid? In the kitchen of the backyard of Mingshuan building, a beautiful woman in her 30s wearing gorgeous clothes was extremely confused when she heard the voice. However, looking at Lei who rushed in, he looked up and down. He was dressed simply and did not look like a student from the academy. The beauty's charming eyes slightly frowned, and she said dissatisfiedly to the guy. What are you doing? Bringing anyone into the backyard? Dongzi, give him some money and send him away. This beautiful woman looked at the straps exposed on Lei Ting's body, and obviously regarded Lei Ting as a child in distress. As for the boy who was scolded, he had a bitter look on his face. In fact, he wanted to push Thunder out, but found that Thunder's body was like a rock and could not be pushed away at all. Okay, a young man who was about to kill Nu Qingji was about to go over and drive him away. But at this moment, he only felt a blur in front of his eyes, and with a slight movement in his hand, the knife originally held in his hand was taken away by the young man. It's really useless. Even a child can't handle it. Before the young man named Dongzi understood what was going on, Lei said to Sister Lan, I'm not here to beg for food. Sister Lan was slightly shocked when she saw Lei's movements. This guy was actually a warrior. She gave Dongzi a look, drive him away. At the same time, she looked at Lei Ting and said, this is an important place in the kitchen. Outsiders are not allowed to enter casually. Ming Dexuan is not just a place where just one person can cause trouble. However, Lei didn't listen to her words at all. After entering the backyard, he only saw the angry chickens in captivity, and his heart agitated. This is all original capital. Can he grow up and gain experience quickly? Lei looked at the Ang Qing chicken in front of him, which was bigger than the goose on the blue star, and dropped the butcher knife. Brother chicken, success or failure depends on you. Got it. Holding the knife, the figure quickly rushed towards the captive Ang Qing chickens. Like a dog entering a chicken coop, a burst of chicken feathers fly out, and the situation suddenly gets out of control. Seeing the boy who suddenly fell into madness, other people in the backyard were dumbfounded. This scene is truly astonishing. What's going on? The corner of Dongzi's mouth moved. Killing a chicken can also kill you crazy. He didn't know what Lei Lei had just experienced. He only saw in front of him that he went crazy after killing a Nuqing chicken. Ah, where did this crazy boy come from? Get him out quickly. The beauty yelled at Dongzi, who was in a daze. She also became anxious when she saw Nu Qingji, who had been brutally murdered by the young man. Ming Dazan's signature dish is braised chicken, but the main ingredient is Nuqing chicken, and it must be fresh and freshly killed, otherwise there would not be so many Nuqing chickens raised in the backyard. If they are all killed, there will be no need for gate of opening in these 2 days. And you, hurry up and help, or we will deduct both of your wages. The beautiful woman looked at the silent boy and yelled. She has no eyesight and deserves to work for the rest of her life. Dongzi, who was still in a daze, suddenly came to his senses. It was about his own interests, and he rushed towards Lei Lei. However, although Lei Lei is not as good as those junior swordsmen, he has a small amount of fighting spirit in his body, which is not something ordinary people can handle casually. Dongzi and Wei Wen were unable to drive Lei Lei away for a while. The backyard was suddenly in a state of chaos, and the movement here also attracted the attention of the dining students in the front hall. In order not to be too embarrassed by the excitement, as a melon-eating crowd, we joined in one by one. Crazy, really crazy. The beauty looked at the increasingly lively backyard and became a little anxious, and some students even pointed out the thunder on the spot, and she was even more angry. Her beautiful face, turning red with anger. I have to catch you spouting bad words. The beauty gritted her teeth, looked at the culprit Lei Lei, and said to the surrounding students watching the excitement, whoever caught that crazy boy, today's braised chicken, Ming Dexuan is free supply. Sister Lan, you are so grand. A portion of braised chicken costs 3 silver coins, which is a lot of money. One by one they praised it, but there was no student who could come to Ming Dexuan to dine. Do they care about the money? No, what they care about is the excitement, and this kind of excitement is not something you can easily find in the academy. Haha, boy, there's one on the right, please draw your sword quickly. Looking at the figure passing through the chicken coop, everyone was excited, as if they were killing it themselves. Hey, isn't that the good-for-nothing young master from the Lei family? A melon eater couldn't help but be surprised when he saw the familiar face and immediately recognized Lei Ting. The shame of the academy. It's impossible. I heard that I was beaten half to death by a level 2 monster yesterday, but I can still be alive and kicking today. Don't tell me, he is really the eldest young master of the Lei family. I have met him several times. Although this face is unfamiliar, I will not forget it easily. The eldest young master of the Lei family, are you so fierce? In their understanding, the eldest young master of the Lei family is weak by nature and has no power to restrain a chicken killing. Moreover, is it possible to be so tough now? The lively scene fell silent for a moment, and everyone was puzzled. Tell me, is there a possibility that this person was beaten stupid by a level 2 monster, so he can only seek revenge from the angry chicken? Let's vent it out. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone suddenly understood and their eyes brightened. The next moment, it was very lively. Don't tell me yet, it's really possible. I think he just took the medicine and became stupid. I would like to call him the chicken killer. The whole backyard was very lively. As the saying goes, good things don't go out, but bad things spread thousands of miles. After knowing that it was Lei Lei's deeds, it spread quickly from Mingshuan building to the academy. Anyone who doesn't recognize Mr. Lei is in vain and is a member of the academy. And the rumors became even more popular after being spread by everyone. What? The eldest young master of the Lei family is killing chickens, are you right? The eldest young master of the Lei family has fallen into a demonic state and is killing chickens. At last, the eldest young master of the Lei family was beaten crazy by a chicken. For a time, rumors were flying all over the college, and some even said that the eldest young master of the Lei family was having an affair with the beautiful sister Lan of Mingdexuan. This can all be related. Look, this rumor is simply too far off the mark. Lei Lei's last bit of reputation was instantly wiped out, and he was directly pressed to the ground and rubbed again and again. Chapter 11. People who are always paying attention to the thunder also received the news immediately. Bang! In the luxurious villa, after the sound of collision was heard, an angry voice shouted, This fool, the Lei family's face will be ruined by him. At this moment, Lei Ming's handsome face was gloomy, and his eyes were burning with anger. The table next to him had completed its final mission, having withstood a critical attack from the owner's anger, and went offline gloriously. Young master, what should we do now? Wang Zhen looked at Lei Ming in an angry state and asked cautiously. Upon hearing Wang Zhen's question, Lei Ming was like an evil tiger, staring at Wang Zhen fiercely, with those gnawing eyes that instantly made Wang Zhen's back drip with cold sweat. Even though he has all kinds of means, he still has some chaos and sense of proportion. What are you waiting for? Go and catch him back for me. Are you waiting for me to make a fool of myself? Lei Ming roared. Yes, yes, young master, I'll go right away. After saying that, Wang Zhen rushed out as if running away. Brother, I want to see Brother Lei. Jar looked like she was about to cry. At this time, Jar looked very anxious and was about to rush out, but was stopped by Feng Ning in front of her. Feng Ning's face was also very ugly, and she said to the girl in front of her, Sister, you will die this way. Heart. Feeling her sister's determination, Feng Ning struck even more ruthlessly. You have no future with him. How can that loser be worthy of you? Sister, have you ever thought about it? The Lei family can really make Lei Ting rise to power without strength. Without support, can he continue to sit in that position? Will the senior executives of the Lei family agree? Quote, have you never thought that if Lei Ming sits in that position, Lei Ming will be dissatisfied, and will also gain the support of everyone in the Lei family? If the Lei family wants to develop, they will not let a waste lead it. In this world, strength is everything. Quote, no, second brother, we can help him. Isn't the Feng family as wealthy as the Lei family? Sister, please wake up and don't be too naive. Feng Ning took a deep breath, hesitated and said again, you have no chance. The elders of the family will ask the Lei family to terminate your engagement. What? Jar looked even more excited. I won't agree. After saying that, while Feng Ning wasn't paying attention, he passed side by side and rushed outside with his petite body. Only, can she escape? Obviously it was impossible. As soon as he started, he was slashed on the neck with a hand knife. Suddenly his eyes went black and his petite body fell backwards. Feng Ning took a step forward and hugged the fallen body, sighed and said, Sister, this is for your own good. Failure often does not end well. If he were a child of an ordinary family, although he would not be able to live in luxury, he would still be able to live a normal life. The rich and powerful family is not as beautiful as imagined. There is so much darkness hidden behind the bright side. His mediocre qualifications have already sentenced him to death. Mediocrity is not a sin, but in a wealthy family, it is the abyss of sin. Thunder has no idea what happened. He is very excited now because his experience value and contribution value are increasing rapidly. The experience value has reached the 2000 mark, and the contribution value has also reached 1000. There is hope for an upgrade. Staring at the chickens running around, his eyes became brighter and brighter. These were the original capital for him to start a business. It's a worthwhile trip, haha. Lei Lei licked his lips and laughed. Thunder's behavior immediately shocked everyone, and in an instant, the entire Ming Dexuan screamed in surprise. Young Master Lei, you are really crazy. But besides this possibility, do you think there are other possibilities? There is only one truth. That is, young Master Lei is looking for revenge. Sister Mililan's eyes twitched. Have a grudge against a chicken. Then you can't kill my chicken. Seeing that Dongzi and the others were doing nothing, they could no longer count on these melon eaters. Looking at the murder scene in that place, they were also furious and yelled at the other side, why don't you catch him quickly? Why don't you wait? Shall I come? As soon as she finished speaking, Dongzi had already seized the opportunity and pounced on Lei Ting while he was in a daze. Young Master Lei, someone is coming from behind. Get out of the way. Dongzi's movement attracted everyone, but it was too late for others to remind him. If he were a swordsman, Dongzi's movements would be full of loopholes, but it was enough for the people in front of him. When the melon-eating crowd saw Lei Lei who was still motionless, they felt that it was about to end. With Lei Lei's weak cultivation level, he couldn't react intentionally or unintentionally. It's finally done. Looking at the unresponsive figure in front of him, Dongzi also breathed a sigh of relief. His figure was like an evil tiger pouncing on its prey, and it fiercely fell down on the figure in front of him. In his eyes, he seemed to see thunder being knocked down by him. But in the next moment, his smile disappeared. Although Lei Lei was distracted looking at the system, he was still aware of Dongzi's lunging action. In his eyes, Dongzi was just a charging beast. If it was before, then he would have nothing to do but wait for capture. The moment Dongzi pounced down, Lei Lei took action without thinking. He quickly and skillfully formed seals with his hands, as if his proficiency was engraved in his bones. The substitute technique is activated instantly. With a sound of bang, the figure in front of Dongzi disappeared instantly, but the figure turned into a chicken. How is that possible? Dongzi was dumbfounded when he heard the chicken screaming under his body. How did a person turn into a chicken? What's going on? Even the melon eaters who were watching had their eyes widened. They didn't understand and were stunned. Is this a magic show? Is it magic? One of them murmured. You're stupid. There are elemental fluctuations when using magic. You can't hide it no matter how much you do. A melon eater holding a staff rolled his eyes and said with disdain, this is common sense. Is this common sense? There is no magic fluctuation. How did he do it? Is it too fast? Is it because we were dazzled? Or is it a coincidence? Thunder's tiny amount of fighting spirit has been ignored by them, and magic has been denied by them. It only has speed, but no matter how you look at it, Thunder can't do it. Ask yourself, these junior swordsmen and intermediate swordsmen can't do it either. In an instant, Lei Lei's figure escaped inexplicably, and then, a chicken happened to pass by. Is it really a coincidence? What a coincidence! Everyone looked at the figure blankly, with confused and shocked expressions on their faces. Such a result, without seeing the scene of eating dog shit, made them unable to believe it. Thunder, the character who led them into confusion, has a little excitement in his eyes at this moment. This is the first time he has shown ninjutsu in another world, and it is also the first time he has used ninjutsu. Amazing. So amazing. Is this ninjutsu? Having watched Hokage before, he only thought the ninjutsu in the anime was cool, but when he used it himself, he was even more shocked. Then, Lei Lei once again used his actions to subvert the nerves of the melon-eating crowd. He thought it was going to be over, but he didn't expect to raise the butcher knife again and swung it at the chickens. Everyone was speechless for a moment, and the atmosphere just now was suddenly broken. Mr. Lei, are you really here to kill chickens? How did they offend you? Chicken stuck in throat. Dongzi and others from Ming Dexuan retreated with embarrassed expressions on their faces, and they also gave up. After what happened just now, all fools knew that Lei Lei had no intention of targeting them. Only Lei Lei feels so bitter in his heart. Now the experience points and contribution points he got from killing chickens are falling little by little, from 10 points to 1 point now. Even if it's 1 point, it's not that he can't accept it. At worst, he can kill hundreds of millions of them and go out of the mountain directly at full level. The idea is good, but the reality is extremely cruel. When he chopped off the chicken head again, the usual beep did not sound, and the experience value and contribution value on the virtual interface that Lei Lei viewed at the same time did not move at all. 9 horns, what's going on? Host, don't go too far with the wool, just lull it. Zhu Xiaodao said. No, Zhu Xiaoxiao, what kind of broken system are you talking about? Why am I trying to steal the wool? Isn't it said that you can upgrade by fighting monsters in other worlds? Lei Lei suddenly became anxious. Have you ever seen such a big chicken in Blue Star? This isn't that weird. You are a liar, you go back on your word. He talked a lot. Explain it. Zhu Xiaoxiao was silent for a while and then said directly, I don't have enough authority to explain. All interpretation rights belong to this system. What, are you the first move, the second pass, or the third letter? Listen, is this still a system? Lei Lei was shocked and angry, and almost cursed. What a Hokage system, a proper overlord system. If you can't afford it, don't play it. You're stingy and give me my full level. Complaints are complaints. Lei Lei looked at the remaining chickens with regret in his eyes. These were all experience points, and they were gone. 9 horns. Young Master Lei, why did you stop? The melon eaters were also confused for a moment. Just now they were watching young Master Lei gesticulating in the air, but why did he suddenly stop? What do you think is going on? What else do you think? Isn't this just a lunatic? Yes, only a madman can do things that ordinary people cannot understand. Reasonable, reasonable. The bystanders nodded. This explanation was very reasonable. Lei Lei was speechless to the melon-eating crowd in front of him. How boring they were, and what they said was beyond words. Boy, you ruined so many of our ingredients and just want to run away. How can it be so cheap? Sister Ming Xuanlin said angrily. She was worried about Lei Lei causing trouble for no reason. These all need compensation. Compensation. Upon hearing this, Lei Lei muttered in embarrassment. Although Lei Lei's voice was low, it was still heard by Sister Lan. You destroyed these ingredients, of course you have to pay compensation. Our Ming Dexuan's braised chicken needs to be killed and blooded, plus specific medicinal materials, and simmered for 2 hours to be delicious. Look at the good things you have done. These can no longer be used as food. Is this the loss of our Ming Dexuan? Our Ming Dexuan is not a muddy place. Sister Lan stared at Lei Lei fiercely, wishing she could swallow it in one gulp. She already knew that the young man in front of her was the good-for-nothing young master of the Lei family, but so what, he could do business in the college without a strong backing, and Ming Dexuan was not at fault for this. The thunder suddenly stagnated. It was a great killing just now. I drew a list behind my back. There were hundreds of chickens. No matter how you calculate it, it would not be too few. It's just that I'm short of money. This young master from a wealthy family is really in name only, but he was stumped by a few dollars. Master Lei, if you have any difficulties, we can go to the Hu Mansion. As Ming Dexuan's steward, Sister Lan could see Master Lei's difficulties at a glance. Although Sister Lan's words were very graceful, the people around her were also excited. They knew that Master Lei didn't have any money at all. Seeing Lei Ting's embarrassed look, the eldest young master of the Marquis Mansion could not always get his melons. Why does this melon become more delicious the more I eat it? Lei Lei took a deep breath and looked around. Of course, it was impossible to go back to the Marquis Mansion. He himself was not welcomed in the Marquis Mansion. It would be strange if he didn't be imprisoned and kneel in the ancestral hall after something like this happened. I accept these losses. What are you doing? You don't want to pay for it. Hearing this, Dongzi was a little impatient. Compensate, of course I have to compensate. Stop being so mysterious and pay for it. No wonder Dongzi and the others were impatient. Lei Ting's movements looked like he was trying to escape. Lei Lei turned a deaf ear to their questions and stared brightly at the familiar person who appeared among the melon-eating crowd. Isn't there an ATM? He used it without any guilt. He pointed directly at the figure and shouted, Wang Zhen, come and compensate for the losses here. The melon-eating crowd was also very cooperative and made way for Wang Zhen on the spot. Some people behind him pushed Wang Zhen even more because they disliked Wang Zhen's procrastination. Wang Zhen's face looked as if he had eaten shit. He was very ugly. He had just arrived and was shouted out before he understood the situation. Young master asked me to invite you back. No hurry, no hurry, my second brother should be nice to me. He knows my difficulties and sent you, my money bag, here. It's rare that my second brother is interested. The only thing you have to do now is to cooperate with Sister Lan and count the losses first. It's not much, just compensate for the amount. Wang Zhen, I'm relieved to leave it to you. Lei Lei waved his hand and said. Grass. Hearing this, Wang Zhen almost spit out a mouthful of blood. The thing didn't get done, no one was caught, and it was a mess. Looking at that embarrassing scene, it is definitely not a small number. Today must be the worst and most unforgettable day in his life. In front of so many people, Wang Zhen cannot refuse or use force. If Lei Ting is still crazy and takes action in the name of the Hu Mansion, no one can say anything, but now it won't work if he is given 10 courages. Although strength is respected in this world, there are also superiors and inferiors. Lei Lei is the eldest young master of the Hu Mansion and the future heir. If he is used violently in public, the students here will tear him to pieces without being punished by the senior officials of the Hu Mansion. What does it mean to be poor in literature and rich in martial arts? Without the resources to practice, the talented people can only stare at them. Most of the people who can enter the academy are either rich or noble. A servant beating his own eldest son for no reason is called treason. Everyone can be punished, this is a reality. After returning home, he was in a bad situation and was punished by the young master. Thinking of the young master's methods, I couldn't help but shudder. Today, he admitted defeat and looked at Lei Lei with extremely malicious eyes. This is not the end, he vowed to make Lei Lei look good. What are you looking at? Why don't you go quickly? Lei Lei shouted loudly at Wang Zhen, who was indifferent. He recalled Wang Zhen's previous unscrupulous treatment of this young master, and suddenly his thoughts came to his mind and he slapped him hard. Let you pretend to be powerful. The strength of his hand increased a bit, and he hit Wang Zhen hard on the left side of his face. But Wang Zhen didn't react at all. The pop sound was extremely loud in the backyard. This is just a lesson, there is no next time, Lei Lei said with a gloomy face. The tone was full of awe. Who are you? The left side of Wang Zhen's face suddenly became swollen, and his 5 fingers were clearly visible. He looked at the thunder in front of him in disbelief. He didn't expect that the young master who had been bullied by him would dare to attack him. My heart is filled with rage. Wang Zhen gritted his teeth with hatred, his face turned extremely ugly, and his right hand unconsciously touched the hilt of the sword, but there was still a trace of reason in his heart. His face darkened, he flicked his right hand, and with a crisp, ding sound, the long sword turned into a long beam and nailed a scurrying angry chicken to the floor tiles in the backyard. Dry tongue. Wang Zhen has never been so useless since he followed the young master. When Laozi gets a chance, he will definitely go back for revenge. Yes, young master. Wang Zhen seemed to vent his resentment, and his tone became calmer. What a pity. Lei Lei shook his head, patiently. However, Lei Lei still laughed. Looking at the respectful Wang Zhen, his ecstasy turned into a mean smile. Oh, my hands, your face is too tough, it hurts my hands. No, I have to go find Sister Yue to show me. After saying that, Lei Lei even held the hand that slapped him in the face, as if it was really painful, and walked towards the outside of Ming Dexuan with a smile on his face. Hearing Lei Ting's words, Wang Zhen's anger suddenly surged up, his eyes burst into flames, his face became even redder, and he stared at Lei Ting's back. It's so bullying. Lei Lei felt extremely happy. Ming Dexuan was unexpectedly happy. Not only did he gain experience points and contribution points, but he also took the opportunity to teach Wang Zhen a lesson, which was considered a bad breath. Wang Zhen's arrival was purely unexpected, and he just took advantage of the situation and taught him a lesson. However, Wang Zhen's sword made Lei Lei frown. To be honest, he had no confidence in avoiding it, it was too fast, and Angie was only a junior swordsman, so the gap was not that big. After humiliating him today, even if he let out a bad breath, this kid would definitely take revenge on him, not openly, but secretly. Lei Lei felt slightly depressed when he thought of this. That guy is actually scared. We must improve our strength quickly. If we continue like this, let alone the second child, even Wang Zhen will be able to arrange him clearly. This dog system can't even let Laozi develop steadily. Thinking of this, Lei Lei shook his head depressedly, thinking that he could just come out of the mountain invincible. In terms of strength, we still need to improve our strength as soon as possible. If we don't have combat effectiveness in the early stage, we won't even dare to leave the gate of the academy. The top priority is to improve strength, and there is no need to consider other things. 9 speakers, open the interface. Lei Lei said silently in his heart. Okay, host. Lei Lei looked at the virtual interface in front of him and was immediately elated. Haha, 3,156 experience points, 1578 contribution points. I instantly felt like I was suddenly rich. Chicken Brothers, thank you. 1578 contribution points can be exchanged for AC level ninjutsu and AD level ninjutsu. The 3-body technique is fine for escaping and camouflaging, but has too many limitations for use in combat. Speed and attack. Lei Lei thought of the description of Kung Fu by martial arts in his previous life. All martial arts in the world are invincible, except speed. This classic description will never be out of date in any world. The golden flash in Hokage is due to the speed of Flying Thunder God, which directly made him a god. There are also Shisui, Hokage, etc., who are all speed-type ninjas who are good at speed. The same is true in this world. However, there is a speed-type ninjutsu, instant technique, in the D-level ninjutsu. This ninjutsu is very useful in the early stage of Hokage, and Kakashi also introduced it to Nazuo. Instantaneous technique. Utilizing the characteristics of chakra, it moves like wind without a trace within the range of chakra, at a speed that is difficult to detect with the naked eye. To ordinary people, it looks like the caster suddenly disappeared. The reason why it is difficult to see the use of the teleportation technique in the later stages of Hokage is because the characters we fight in the later stage are basically strong men above the shadow level, and their normal speed in a sudden burst is faster than most people's teleportation technique. When you wait for the seal to be formed, you will be directly killed by them. Therefore, it looks like it stretches your hips, but this is who you want to compare with. If you are fighting cheaters, you can only fight with cheaters. The instant body technique is completely sufficient for Lele at this stage. 9 trumpets, learn the art of instant body. Okay, host, deduct 500 contribution points, D-level ninjutsu technique, learned successfully. As for the offensive C-level ninjutsu, Lele couldn't make up his mind for a while. The C-level ninjutsu that often appear in Hokage include Uchiha's Great Fireball Jutsu, Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu, Dragon Flame Jutsu and Jiraiya's Flame Bullet. These ninjutsu are relatively powerful in attack, while other C-level ninjutsu have average damage or have usage restrictions. His favorite is Jiraiya's Flame Bomb, which is more lethal than other ninjutsu of the same series. However, the prerequisite for its use must be a toad, so it can be directly PSED. The contribution value of Dragon Flame Technique and Phoenix Sage Fire Technique has exceeded 1000 points, which is also directly PS. Finally, Thunder looked at the Great Fireball Jutsu. This technique is Uchiha's signature ninjutsu, which appears as a great fireball. The attack range and lethality are very large, and it can also attack from a long distance. The huge high-temperature fireball attacks concentrated in one place, so the power is stronger than the scattered Phoenix Sage Fire. Moreover, it has great advantages. The power can be determined according to the amount of chakra consumed by the caster, and the consumption is also very small. This is completely in line with the current conditions of Thunder. This ninjutsu is very controversial among Hokage fans. Some people think that the Great Fireball is useless, the damage is limited, it can't hit anyone at all, and it doesn't even have a killing record. This ninjutsu is very common in the Hokage world and is well understood, so it will naturally be targeted. You should also take a look at the characters you play against in Great Fireball. They are either Jonin or genius ninjas. Of course they can do all kinds of fancy blocking, dodging, etc. Looking at the Hokage, it is rare to see a C-level ninjutsu with such high popularity. In terms of power, Madara can be seen in the duel between Itachi and Kisame. Itachi once used the Great Fireball to consume Kisami's Mizusaki bullet. Not to mention the power of the Water Shark bullet, it belongs to A-level ninjutsu. Even so, the Great Fireball can offset the A-level Water Shark bullet. Although there are conflicting attributes, it is enough to illustrate the power of the Great Fireball. 9 horns, learn the art of Great Fireball. Lele said directly without hesitation. Okay, host, C-level ninjutsu Great Fireball technique, 1000 contribution points will be deducted, the learning was successful. Why? With only double-digit contribution value left, Lele sighed again. However, his strength has not improved much now, but he also has the means to save his life. Gulu. After leaving Ming Dexuan, my stomach made a serious protest against the Thunder. Lele rubbed his belly. He had just started killing people indiscriminately, but he actually forgot about this and touched his pocket casually. And some money. As the eldest young master of the Marquis Palace will give him regular money every month. Although it is not much, it is enough for him to eat and drink on a daily basis. I found a noodle shop and sat down at a random spot. The noodle shop is open style, with just a few tables. There are more than a dozen students eating, sitting together in 2s and 3s. Only Lele is alone, eating noodles and listening to their conversation. The triennial college assessment is coming soon, and I don't know if I can get the ranking. You are overthinking. The strength of intermediate swordsmen is only that of dozens of people. You don't even think about how many geniuses have emerged in the past 2 years. Lei Ming, Feng Ning, Li Shaoran, etc. have already reached the level of cultivation. Become a high-level swordsman. No way, they are so perverted, they must have only been in the academy for 2 or 3 years. Haha, I guess their goal is to be in the top 10, represent the college in the magic martial arts competition, and be selected for the first time in the competition. How domineering. Impossible. Those who can participate in the magic martial arts competition in recent years are all great swordsmen or even swordsmen. The advanced swordsmen are still a little behind, but it is said that there will be rewards, including skills, advanced weapons, and even rare treasures that can improve your cultivation, etc. Upon hearing the rare treasure, Lei Lei's eyes lit up. A small piece of blood ginseng can be exchanged for 5,000 contribution points. The rare treasure of the magic martial arts competition is not bad. College assessment, magic and martial arts competition. Lei Lei murmured to himself. It was an academy assessment rather than selecting students for the magic martial arts competition, and not only were there rewards for the magic martial arts competition, there were also rewards for the top 30 in the academy. No wonder the students are working hard to practice and improve their cultivation. It's just, can I come in a hurry? To rob or steal? Just kidding, does he have the strength? Lei Lei was thinking about it when suddenly, his expression suddenly changed and his pupils shrank unnaturally. Danger warning triggered. Hostile characters appear within 100 meters of host. Mini-map opens. At this moment, a burly student walked into the noodle shop, carrying a long sword, sat down at the door of the noodle shop, ordered some noodles, and then sat quietly. No matter how you look at it, you look like a passerby eating noodles. But Lei Lei lost his composure, because after this person appeared, the system mini-map suddenly popped up in front of him, and the person was also shown as a little red man. 9 trumpets, what's going on? Host, the system will mark the people or forces that have attacked the host. So, where's the mini-map? Randomly triggered, automatically turned on. Are there any other system settings? Insufficient authority to answer. Lei Lei stared at the small map. The bright red figure was extremely dazzling. He wanted to run to find Sister Yue, but he still held back. Because this is an opportunity for him, a rare opportunity to upgrade. This kid is really lucky. He actually survived the claws of a monster. The burly man sat at the door and glanced at Thunder with the corner of his eyes, his heart filled with dissatisfaction. Feng Yuer ruined Laozi's good deeds, otherwise Laozi would have been happy on the way to the imperial capital. He knew the identity of the target person, but he became even more excited when he thought of the generous reward offered by the mysterious man. The advanced skills and 100,000 gold coins were something he could not imagine and could not refuse easily. In that moment of hesitation, I was filled with fear and courage. Take it. Although it is dangerous, the reward is so high that he can do desperate things. But he never expected that the magical beast deployed in the back mountain would actually fail, forcing him to attack the target person again. His eyes were looking around. In fact, the corner of his eye never left Lei Ting's figure. He could kill this trash with one punch, but he was looking at people coming and going, looking for someone. Chance. Zhu Xiaoxiao, what level is he? Lei Lei asked in his heart. Can't answer. Then can I beat him? Can't answer. Wow Sao. Quote. Lei Lei didn't get an answer. After eating the noodles, he gave the money and walked out. He didn't want to miss this opportunity. After Lei Ting left, the burly man immediately stood up, dropped the money, and followed Lei Ting. The mountain behind the college. Lei Lei was walking in the green woods. It was very remote here and there was no one in sight. He stared closely at the little red man who was approaching quickly on the map and stopped immediately. Coming, Lei Lei thought to himself, and moved his hands quickly, and several handprints were formed immediately. Suddenly a figure appeared and rushed towards him quickly. The distance of 100 meters was reached in an instant. Boy, it's your fate, so you can't blame me. The cold long sword exuded cold light and instantly pierced Thunder's body. Bump. There was a soft sound, and the body stabbed by the sword suddenly disappeared and turned into a piece of wood. What? The sudden change made the burly man stunned. The blood flowing and the screams he imagined did not appear. Hey, what a surprise. Lei Lei stood not far away and said mockingly. Boy, how did you find me? At this time, the burly man also understood that Lei Lei had discovered his tracking and deliberately brought him here, and his eyes widened in disbelief. Do you have anything to rely on? The burly policeman looked around, as if he was worried that there was an ambush around him. Haha, rely on. Don't worry, it's just me, there's no one else here. What? The burly man looked at Lei Lei as if he were a fool, and then he laughed and said, okay, okay. I let you escape by chance from the claws of a monster last time. I'll see who comes to save you this time. It's really you. Who asked you to kill me? Lei Lei looked serious when he heard what this man said. Boy, you'll find out when you get down there. As soon as the words fell, the fighting spirit in the burly man's body burst out instantly, and he quickly stabbed Lei Lei with his sword. College waste, what can you do to resist my attack? Just capture him without any effort. It will also give you a good time and avoid the pain of your flesh and blood. My subordinates will see the true chapter. If that's the case, then you can't blame me, just die. The cold sword stabbed directly towards Thunder's heart. The person is you. Staring at the enlarging figure with cold eyes, the ninjutsu was already being prepared during their conversation. As the last seal was formed, a huge fireball suddenly sprayed towards the person. And out. Fire style. Great fireball technique. How is it possible, a magician? The burly man was stunned by the sudden attack of the scorching fireball. He stopped abruptly and quickly evaded to one side. It's just that, because he was too close, he couldn't get out of the fireball's attack range in time. Just when he was about to rush out, the sweeping flames still swept him away. No! With a shrill scream, the burly man, covered in flames, rushed out of the fireball attack. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts so much. Although the burly man was not hit head-on by the great fireball, his body still withstood the high temperature and suffered huge damage in just a short moment. His whole body was burned, and his body was twitching unnaturally and violently. The waves of severe pain stimulated his nerves, and some places were even scorched by the hot flames. What a pity! Lei Lei smelled the smell of burnt meat and felt a little regretful that he was still able to escape the sneak attack. This man's reaction was too quick. Looking at the attribute panel, only 40% of the mental value was left, and he couldn't help but secretly sighed. Two ninjutsu actually used 60% of the energy. In other words, he could still use about 2 ninjutsu. Ah, I'm going to kill you. The burly man stared at Lei Lei fiercely, gritted his teeth, endured the pain, and punched Lei Lei. So fast. Bump. He was hit instantly before the teleportation technique could be activated. The huge force directly blew him away, and his body slammed into a big tree before stopping. PFF'd. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Lei Ting stood up in embarrassment and glanced at his blood volume. Fortunately, his body withstood the heavy blow and only lost 5% of his health. Die, die. The voice of the burly man sounded beside Lei Ting. The long sword was placed on Lei Ting's neck and he pulled violently. Blood splattered on Lei Ting's neck. HMPH. Lei Lei felt as if his brain was suffocating. Magician, so what, you haven't been killed by me. The burly man kicked Lei Lei to the ground and looked around. After all, the fight just now was quite loud. I'm afraid it has attracted the attention of the academy. Naturally, he had to move quickly. Get out of here. After looking at Lei Lei who was lying motionless on the ground, he immediately breathed a sigh of relief, endured the severe pain, put away his sword and prepared to leave. But at this moment, Lei Lei stood up violently, and the fighting energy in his body was quickly consumed. As the final seal was formed, the ground suddenly shook, and countless sand and iron flew out from the ground and condensed in the air. What? The burly man noticed something strange behind him, and when he looked back, he was shocked. His eyes were wide open, looking at Lei Lei in disbelief. It's impossible, you're not dead. Blood was still flowing from Lei Ting's neck, looking very scary. What the hell are you? The strangeness of the thunder had a great mental impact on the burly man, and he was not even prepared to be on guard. Go to hell and find out. Lei Lei shouted coldly, and the sand and iron in the air condensed into spears, each one extremely sharp, and they quickly shot towards the burly man. Magnet style. Sand iron giant needle. No. You. The burly man seemed to want to say something else, but his wide-open mouth seemed to have leaked air. At that moment, at least a dozen giant sand iron needles pierced his body. He felt that the blood in his body was draining rapidly, his eyes continued to dim, and his breathing stopped. Congratulations to host, you killed the junior swordsman for the first time, and gained 3,000 experience points and 1,500 contribution points. The voice of the nine horns sounded in Lei's mind. Call. Lei exhaled a breath of turbidity, secretly saying that it was a fluke that he still had 5% of his spirit value left. If he made another mistake, he would have no choice but to be slaughtered. However, God is still on his side. Congratulations to host, upgraded to Genin, keep up the good work, next level Chunin. Haha, good, finally upgraded. It's worth it. Lei wiped the wound on his throat and the bleeding stopped. It was worth the effort. After simply cleaning up, Lei picked up the body and left quickly. Not long after Lei left, several blasts of wind rang out, and the college law enforcement team appeared here, looking at the blood stains on the ground and the traces of the fight. Who is fighting the magician? Come on, this has exceeded our authority. We need to report it to the academy as soon as possible. After Lei threw the body deep into the back mountain, he took a detour back to his villa. He is not worried about the body being discovered, as a wild beast or monster will naturally take care of it. After taking a shower and changing clothes, I began to take stock of today's gains with excitement. 9 speakers, open the property bar. Okay, host. Level. Genin experience. 1156 20,000ths. Name. Thunder. HP value. 122 hundredths. Mental value. 300 500ths. Ninjutsu. Free body technique, instant body technique, great fireball technique. Physical skills. Basic physical skills. Blood succession limit. Magnet style. Contribution value. 1578. 9 horns. Do the health and mental values increase as the level increases? Lei looked at the changes in the blood and mental values of the attributes. The third-rate system is too powerful. With 500 spirit points, you can release a dozen ninjutsu with no problem, and you no longer have to be careful. Yes, host. The higher the level, the higher the corresponding blood volume and mental value. Okay. When Lei heard this, his eyes brightened. This was a good thing. The system was giving him blood and blue in disguise. This was not the key. The key was that the blood and mental values could be restored by themselves. Haha, it's so awesome, stacking blood and stacking blue, immune to death's Xiaoqiang. He was so excited that he wanted to sing a song. He liked this feeling so much. It was like a money-playing gamer's sense of déjà vu. You immune to death me. Ju Xiao, you are so cute. Lei suddenly found that the virtual interface in front of him was much more pleasing to the eye, and it no longer just exploited the working people. After Lei coughed lightly, he restrained himself for a moment. With another 1578 contribution points, it was time to improve his strength. With the 3 body techniques, instant body techniques and great fireball he now mastered, and his own attack power was still very weak, this was his a major shortcoming. In the battle with the junior swordsman, his physical skills were still too weak, and he was basically beaten by the junior swordsman. If he had had strange strength at that time, he would not have been so passive. Taijutsu is a kind of confrontation in Hokage that uses only the body. It does not require seals and can be attacked directly. The most famous ones in Hokage are the 8 Gates Dungeon, Raikage's ninjutsu and Senju's strange power, but the first 2 categories can only be seen for now. The 8 Gates Dungeon has a contribution value of millions, and Raikage's ninja taijutsu needs to be used in conjunction with the secret technique lightning style chakra mode, which is also out of his reach. After thinking about it, I suddenly realized that I was a poor man. I couldn't redeem this or that. The unexpected joy I got suddenly disappeared without a trace, and I could only curse at the interface. When can we achieve freedom of consumption? I can't help but feel sad. However, he locked the Senju family's strange power. The level of strange power is not high, but the burst of power is absolutely powerful. The most impressive thing is Tsunade's strange power. In the early stage, almost no one dared to provoke her, and she would break the ground at the slightest disagreement. After Sakura inherited Tsunade's strange power, based on the strange power, combined with the subtle control of the chakra of medical ninjutsu, she developed a more explosive strange power. When she fought against Kaguya, she used this move to directly knock her unconscious. Although the strange power used by Sakura is powerful, it also requires a prerequisite, which is Grandmaster Medical Ninjutsu, so. 9 trumpets, learn your strange powers. Okay, Host, sea-level physical skills, strange strength, consumption of 1500 contribution points. Redemption successful. Lei Lei suddenly felt an extra message in his mind. After a moment, the fighting energy in his body condensed towards his arms, and he suddenly felt there is a destructive force between the hands. Haha, yes, this power is great. He could feel that a cow could be killed by one punch, and then the power in his hands disappeared. Now he has the confidence to face a junior swordsman again. Although he cannot kill instantly, he can still crush him. Absolute crushing. This feeling is so wonderful, killing monsters and leveling up, upgrading. Whatever he wanted to do, Lei Lei got dressed and went out again. This time when he went out, he brought the long sword issued by his family. Under the afternoon sun, Lei Lei was walking in Fulong Academy, and he was stunned by the bustling students. For the young practitioners of the Longwu Empire, Fulong Academy was the Dragon Gate, and after crossing it, they could reach the sky in one step. Fulong Academy has a rich martial arts heritage, and its cultivation resources are secondary. The main ones are the fighting chi skills and martial arts in the academy. This is what practitioners dream of. Fighting chi skills and martial arts are the essence accumulated by countless predecessors for thousands of years. If you don't have these skills and martial arts, if you want to practice slowly by yourself, the road to growth will only be more difficult and arduous. However, the exercises and martial arts on the market are very ordinary mass products, and being able to grow into an intermediate swordsman is already very outstanding. It is difficult for real mid to high level skills to escape the market, and will only be tightly controlled by major forces. This is why Fulong Academy has become the holy place of martial arts in the Longwu Empire. In Fulong Academy, as long as you have high talent and strong strength, you will have the opportunity to obtain advanced exercises and advanced martial arts. It is basically impossible to obtain them outside. Just like the ninjutsu in Hokage, if you want to learn advanced ninjutsu, only the big ninjutsu will have a complete inheritance, and what is left on the market are just some popular products. And Wolong College has a saint sitting in charge, and it is said that it has the inheritance of the saint. Therefore, even the wealthy families in the empire naturally covet the inheritance here. Even the major wealthy families will be interested in those priceless martial arts and exercises, and will not hesitate to send their own genius children to the academy, in the hope of obtaining the saint's reputation, favor. Saint-level powerhouses, the peak combat power in this world is only possessed by the royal families of various empires and the huge top forces. And if these wealthy families want to step into the top powers, holy-level powerhouses are indispensable. Lei Lei has a system, so he naturally looks down on these inheritances. He is a fool to practice the techniques of this world even if he has a system. Looking at the students who were in a hurry to practice, Lei Lei seemed out of place, as if practice had nothing to do with him. There was a commotion in the hurried crowd. Looking back, I saw a pure white luxury carriage approaching with the crisp sound of horse hooves. The horses pulling the cart are all expensive wind-chasing horses, which can travel thousands of miles a day and have excellent endurance. The price of a horse is nearly 10,000 gold coins. Let alone the ordinary young master, even the heir of a wealthy family may not be willing to buy it. One horse. Just like Lei Lei himself, not only did he not have one, but the weapon he used was the standard sword used by the guards of the Marquis Mansion. Even Wang Zhen's sword could not compare to it. He was a poor man. The people sitting here are comparable to Blue Star's top players driving Bugattis. They must not be royalty, Lei Lei thought to himself. At this time, someone next to him said, "Did you see the sword and shield logo on the carriage? It's the carriage of the largest family in the empire. The Yang family, relatives of the emperor. For everyone in the Longwu Empire, you may not know the emperor's name, but no one does not know the four powerful families. The four major families, the Yang family, the Li family, the Lei family, and the Feng family, are the top wealthy families in the Longwu Empire, and almost control the economy, military, and politics of the empire. In the past 100 years, the Yang family has been almost as rich as any country in the world, and controls most of the empire's external economic and trade. It can be said that if the Yang family sneezes, the empire's economy will tremble. The Lei family of Lei Lei is in charge of the largest military fortress in the empire, while the Feng family of his fiancée Jar is in charge of military equipment, and the Zhu family is in charge of the court. At this time, the carriage stopped at the door not far away. The car curtain was opened and a girl walked out. Seeing this girl, Lei was amazed, and the male students around him were even more enlightened. What does it mean to conquer a country and conquer a city, but that's all? The girl was wearing white soft armor, with long black hair hanging down, and her skin was as white and flawless as jade. Her beauty exuded a sense of heroism and radiance. She really couldn't find a single flaw, she was a peerless beauty. The girl walked into the door, and everyone she passed was extremely suspicious. There were even whispers coming from around Thunder. It's perfect. Who is she? Who is she? No way, you only know how to practice day and night, don't you even know about her? This is Yang Shui, one of the 4 beauties in the academy who is as famous as the Feng family sisters, the head of the Yang family. How can the apple of my eye not be beautiful? Why did you enter the mission hall? Yang Shui should be doing it for the academy assessment. Senior Yang Shui is a veteran high-level swordsman. Improving your strength is not only training, but training is also essential. The mission hall is indeed a very training place, the man said, while praising him. The girl not only has a strong background, but also has strong strength and ambition. Isn't this the goddess in her heart? However, doing tasks is very difficult and full of dangers. Is she suitable for a character like her? You are ignorant. This kind of proud woman is not only not afraid of hardship, but she is also a frequent visitor to the mission hall. Mission hall. Hearing the comments from others, Lei thought that the Hokage ninja village would also issue tasks for ninjas to complete. Thinking of this, Lei couldn't help but secretly sighed at the predecessor of this body. 3 years in the academy were in vain. He had never even visited such an important task hall in the academy. The mission hall of the academy, something that was ignored in his previous life, was very suitable for his current situation. The mission hall is a special feature of the academy. It is a product of the cooperation between the academy and the imperial officials in order to better train students. The imperial officials will issue some simple tasks such as guarding and suppressing bandits to the academy, and then the academy will release the tasks. Let students complete it to achieve the purpose of training students. The military, in particular, often issues some tasks, mainly to spy on intelligence and transmit information, as well as more advanced protection tasks. The top management of the academy also believes that only students who have experienced blood and fire will grow faster. This is the original intention of the mission hall. But later, the mission hall's high efficiency in completing tasks and its powerful strength gradually spread, attracting wealthy families, nobles, chambers of commerce, civilians, etc., and due to lack of personnel or the need to protect, hunt and kill monsters, etc. Instead, tasks will be posted in the academy. The academy also has the strength to complete it. There are tens of thousands of junior swordsmen and even great swordsmen in the school, and some tasks with generous rewards can attract mentors to come forward. The empire did not want to waste such a huge force. Similarly, each task has corresponding generous rewards. The higher the difficulty of the task, the higher the reward. Moreover, completing the task can also earn college points. Don't underestimate the points, they can be exchanged for martial arts and exercises in the academy. In addition to the standard courses in the academy, if you want to learn more advanced martial arts and exercises, you can only obtain them through this method, unless you obtain personal guidance from college instructors or greater contributions. This is also the reason why the mission hall is so popular. The resources provided by the academy are limited. If they want to be stronger, many students can only accumulate points by doing missions and exchange them for more advanced martial arts, exercises, etc. This is one of the few lots of choices. After all, not every student is a child of a wealthy family, and not everyone has the resources to practice. Lei walked directly towards the mission hall. Walking into the mission hall, there was a loud noise. It was a large area. In the center was the mission reception desk, which was packed with people asking questions and handing over missions. At the same time, there is a huge task bar centered on the reception desk, and there are many people standing there. Lei's eyes lit up and he walked over. Collecting medicinal materials. Caravan guard. Acquisition of magic core. These tasks are not bad, but they are still far behind for the Thunder. However, when Lei was about to leave, he saw the words, "Hunting Warcraft," in the corner of his eye. He immediately stopped and looked up. Hunt the level 2 Warcraft red porcupine. Mission requirement, bring back the short tusk. Thunder's eyes lit up when he saw this. Bite. At this moment, the system in my mind rang. Trigger the system task and hunt down the level 2 Warcraft red porcupine. The task completion reward will be 2,000 experience points and 1,000 contribution points. Host, do you accept the mission? 9 speakers, everlasting voice said. When Lei heard this, he was immediately overjoyed without any hesitation. Accept. 9 horns, of course I accept it. Double the joy. The systems that come out of web games are becoming more and more pleasing to the eye. 9 horns, why didn't you have any system tasks before? However, after Lei was happy, he asked with some doubts. Unable to answer, Zhu Xiaodao was decisive. 9 speakers, are you trying to deal with me? Lei was extremely speechless. He felt that he should take back his previous feelings. There is no system that treats host like this. Lei complained, then went directly to the unmanned registration desk and handed the note over. Senior sister, please register the mission. Another beauty, really good looking. The senior sister in front of him was 20 years old, with a plump figure and slender legs, but for some reason Lei felt a little cold. The woman frowned, glanced at Lei, and tapped her fingers on the table 3 times in a row. What's up? People have power, and the power they show if they are not aggressive is also very different. For example, the senior sister in front of her raised her eyebrows and revealed a heroic spirit. Coupled with the fact that she knocked on the table and glared, her aura was unprecedentedly powerful. An uncompromising aura exuded from her beautiful face, and most boys would be suppressed by his aura just by seeing her. But what kind of person is Thunder? The 3 good young people who have been bombarded by the internet in the 21st century have not seen any scene. They stopped on the spot and asked, why can't you register here? When the senior sister heard Lei Ting's question, her heart suddenly became angry. Pretend, let you pretend. Are you blind? She was famous in the mission hall. When she first came to the mission hall, because of her outstanding appearance and figure, she attracted many boys to register with her, and they even made her irritating with their flirty words. Especially some guys with evil intentions. These boys don't do tasks, but they come here to ask about tasks. Just ask for advice. There are always blind guys who stare at her breasts and thighs. As a result, she was angered and drove them away. However, there are always thick-skinned scoundrels who surround her like flies, and they insist that they are here to consult on a mission and have no dirty intentions. It turned out that she was also a ruthless character and started fighting directly. As a senior swordsman, naturally there were not many opponents. She was beaten down by her on the spot. There was even a pervert who didn't open his eyes and stared at her towering breasts. He was kicked between his legs by her and almost lost his place. This incident caused quite a stir, and finally alarmed the top management of the college. With the intervention of the college, the matter was settled. Although many male students were dissatisfied, those who could defeat her did not bother to take action, and no blind guy came to trouble her. That kick made the young masters still tremble in fear when they recalled it, and they secretly cursed her to never get married. From then on, no boys came to ask her for help. Her place was like a restricted area for boys. Over time, she acquiesced. She was about to have a seizure, and was about to go crazy. At this moment, a soft and sweet female voice came, Sister Ling, what's wrong? Lei followed the sound, and when he saw it, he was stunned. This girl is none other than Yang Shui, the apple of the eye of the head of the Yang family. This girl puts people to shame regardless of her status as the #1 wealthy family in the Longwu Empire, or her own beauty and strength. Although Lei, who owns the system, thinks that he is destined to be extraordinary and will become the pinnacle figure in this world, at this moment, Yang Shui is still aloof to him. One is carrying genius, and the other is carrying waste, just like the bright moon and the firefly. Lei never expected that he would meet Yang Shui here, and his dull expression fell into the eyes of his senior sister, but that was not the case, it was a complete pervert. The toad wants to eat the swan's flesh. The senior sister was very unhappy with the slander, especially when Lei saw Yang Shui's piggy appearance, which made her very unhappy. She said to Yang Shui unhappily, "This guy is here to pick up girls, and I am preparing to teach him a lesson. Are you ready to go out on a mission again?" The latter sentence was said to Yang Shui, but after Lei Lei heard the previous sentence, Monk Jong-er was confused. Picking up girls. When did I come here to pick up girls? Isn't this the mission hall? He said directly. I'm here to register the mission. Other places are crowded with people, but your place is empty. Please don't talk nonsense and jump to conclusions. Register the mission. Don't you know the situation? Senior sister pointed her slender finger at Lei Lei and said in a bad tone. Lei Lei was stunned for a moment and said casually, "What's going on?" "Ha, he's pretending to be stupid again. Those shameless boys used to say the same thing. The real purpose of consulting tasks, registration, etc. was to pick up girls. My strength is low, and it's not like I'm going on a mission. I've seen too many people like you," the senior sister said in a bad tone. Lei Lei looked at the senior sister who was in a state of rage in front of him speechlessly. I wasn't even angry. How could she be angry? How can you do things here with this kind of attitude? If you were in Blue Star, if you complained every minute, you would be asked to leave after get off work. At this time, Yang Shui said, Sister Ling, forget it, he looks like a newcomer, so he probably doesn't understand the situation. Of course, the senior sister couldn't ignore Yang Shui's words. She said, Yang Shui, you just have a soft mentality. As long as you open a small gap, these guys will slap you in the face. You should teach them a lesson with force and let them grow up. Long memory. Lesson. Lei Lei was stunned and said, You seem to be a student too, and this is the mission registration office in the mission hall. How can you take action at will? HMPH, you are hitting the muzzle of the gun. I can really take action. This is the academy's default. Get out of here, otherwise I will make you look good. Lei Ting was a little angry. He had never seen someone so unreasonable. He insisted that he was just trying to pick up girls. Lei Lei had no choice but to sigh. I'm really here to register. Take a look at this mission. The senior sister glanced at the task note handed over by Lei Lei, sneered, and said, You go ahead and lie to me. With your strength, you are still discharged from the hospital to do the task, and there is still a certain difficulty in the task of hunting World of Warcraft. It really made me laugh to death. Yang Shui, you often go out to do missions, and you should know better how dangerous it is to hunt monsters. Yang Shui glanced at Lei Lei with some strangeness, and naturally saw Lei Lei's weak fighting spirit. She said, Junior, hunting level 2 monsters is difficult for even a junior swordsman to complete. You know what you are doing. This is the way to seek death. The senior sister laughed proudly and said with a smile, Ha ha. I said, Little pervert, do you still want to do this task? Holding the mission note, he started acting wildly in front of Lei Lei, his tone full of ridicule. Are you scared? Do you have the guts? Someone will die. When Lei Lei heard this exaggerated laughter, he was extremely speechless. Why did this woman look like a psycho? Was she abandoned by a man and a psychopath? Yang Shui was a little helpless, but this senior sister was somewhat prejudiced against men. Why bother to provoke her? Sister Ling, let's forget it. Yang Shui, you are so kind. Yang Shui had no choice but to look at the young man in front of her and said, This classmate, you should give up. You still have a future, there is no need to ruin yourself out of anger. Yang Shui had no choice but to persuade Lei Ting, hoping that he would give up. But Lei Lei was stunned when he saw the scene unfolding in front of him. I wonder, who knows what the two tiger girls in front of him were doing, singing a duet. Now Lei Lei is in a very helpless mood. He is being persuaded, ridiculed, and threatened. What kind of situation is this? He can only say, Mission. Hurry up and register. When the two girls heard Lei Lei's words, they were both stunned for a moment. Yang Shui suddenly felt that the boy in front of him was a little unreasonable, and she became slightly angry in her heart. She was wrong first, so just admit it honestly. Why are you holding on to death? Are you rushing to die? Yang Shui was going crazy and said harshly, This classmate, don't act out of emotion. Haha, okay, hunt the level 2 Warcraft red porcupine. The senior sister immediately took the task note to register, and soon handed a piece of paper filled with text to Lei Lei, pointing at it. At the end of the name, signature. If it makes you crazy, let the red porcupine eat you. Sister Ling, human life is at stake. Yang Shui looked at the senior sister's movements and was stunned. From the senior sister's movements and expressions, she was instantly sure that the senior sister was serious. This kid asked for it. Yang Shui, don't worry, even if he is killed by the red porcupine, he deserves it. The senior sister was not polite. Since she wanted to conquer her, how could she back down? No need to say any more, it was his own choice. It would be better if he died. Just to remind you, there are red porcupines in the Warcraft Mountains 100 miles away from the academy. Although red porcupines are level 2 monsters, they live in groups. Intermediate swordsmen must take a detour when they encounter them. You have to be careful. This classmate, since you are going to the Warcraft Mountains to do a mission, why not join my team? I will also go to the Warcraft Mountains, so I can take care of you. Moreover, your reward for this mission does not need to be allocated to me. It is also considered as your own. Is that okay? Yang Shui said seriously, and her tone was extremely sincere. Coupled with her angelic face, it was really irresistible. Lei Lei hesitated. In fact, he was very moved by Yang Shui's proposal. However, Lei Lei's time is too tight. There are still 3 months left before the academy assessment. He must improve his strength as soon as possible. According to the logic of the system, the monsters killed by others may not be counted at all, to his head. With Yang Shui here, there is no need to worry about Quan En, but there is no chance for him to take action. Level 2 monsters are simply not enough for a high-level swordsman to kill. This time I came and went, except for the mission, I gained almost nothing. So Lei Lei refused with some regret. I'm really sorry, I have other things to do and can't travel as a team. Hearing Lei Ting's words, Yang Shui was stunned, and then said with great regret, oh. That's such a shame. She never expected that she would be rejected by the person in front of her. For a moment, I actually doubted my own charm, and even felt a little aggrieved. The senior sister was immediately stunned, her mind went blank. This guy actually refused. Holy shit, what's going on? Yang Shui invited someone and was rejected. This guy, is he really a man? This guy actually refused outright. Was there any mistake? Hey boy, do you know who she is? Lei Lei felt slightly angry in his heart. He was addicted to teasing Lousy, right? You were the one who said I came here to pick up girls, and now you are the one who refuses your invitation and still refuses to let me go. Of course he knew Yang Shui's identity, but he didn't want to talk about it anymore. He deliberately avoided the topic and said, Sister, the mission has been registered. I can leave. Who do you call eldest sister? The senior sister grabbed her waist and stepped in front of Lei Lei, as if she wouldn't leave if she didn't say anything. Lei Lei was speechless. This was too overbearing. Now he was sure that he had been abandoned by a man. To be honest, although he comes from the era of Blue Star Information Explosion, it is not easy for him to face 2 beauties alone, especially when the strength of these 2 beauties exceeds his. At this time, Yang Shui chuckled and said, Sister Ling, let him go. If you have difficulty completing the mission in the Warcraft Mountains, you can wait for me in the Warcraft town. Remember not to take risks. Lei Lei was stunned and said with a serious face, Thank you very much. Then he strode away. The sunshine in the summer afternoon seems to have a bit of laziness, making people feel lazy all over. The breeze was blowing, and the long black skirt was swaying in the wind, outlining Feng Yue's perfect figure. She frowned slightly and looked into the distance blankly, as if she was worried about something. Sister Yue. A figure walked over slowly, hugged Feng Yue's slender waist, and said with a smile, If those men see you like this, they will be fascinated to death. Yang Shui, you're here. Feng Yue pushed the incoming person away from her, turned and looked over, and asked, How do you understand the situation? What is Lei Lei doing in the mission hall? I accepted the mission. Yang Shui's smiling face suddenly turned serious, with some hesitation. It's a mission to hunt red porcupines. What? A mission to hunt red porcupines? Feng Yurier suddenly woke up, and her beautiful eyes widened even more. Level 2 monster. Yes, Sister Yue. Yang Shui smiled bitterly. I have already sent him a team invitation to protect his safety in the Warcraft Mountains, but he refused. He seems to have to complete the mission alone. Quote, His strength is low. If he is not protected, he might be in the Warcraft Mountains. Feng Yue became a little confused, and her face became serious. After a long pause, she sighed, Thank you, Yang Shui. You are also going to prepare to do the mission in the Warcraft Mountains. Say hello to your mentor for me. Okay, Sister Yue. After Yang Shui responded, she turned and left. Feng Yue soon became irritable when she saw Yang Shui leaving. In the academy, Feng Yurier can still ensure Lei Ting's safety, but outside the academy, there is nothing she can do. In fact, it wasn't the Feng family who wanted to save Lei Ting, but she wanted to. If she hadn't watched him grow up in the past few years, she really wouldn't want to get into this dispute. There are disputes and cooperation between several major families, but other families never interfere in the internal affairs of the family. Anyone who wants to kill him would dare to do so in the academy, let alone outside the academy. Moreover, an extremely bad fight occurred in the college today in the back mountain. Although the man was well hidden, the college law enforcement team still found the mutilated corpse deep in the back mountain that had not been eaten by wild beasts through clues. This caused a stir. The top management of the college was furious. After a thorough investigation, it seems that Lei Lei was also in the back mountain at that time, although his reputation as a good-for-nothing was forgotten by the college. Thinking of this, Feng Yue was a little surprised by her bold guess and became suspicious. Is there some connection between them? Does he have this ability? This kid, why don't you just stop for a moment? Feng Yue muttered, suddenly angry in her heart. If she didn't just stay at home, why would she go to the back mountain? What mission would she go to take on? The sun sets. Lei Lei returned to the villa exhausted. He never thought that the supplies prepared for the Warcraft Mountains would be so exhausted. However, looking at the various materials in the system space, he felt even more fortunate that there was a space backpack to store these materials, otherwise, he would have suffered a lot. This time he prepared daily necessities for more than a month. If possible, he planned to stay in the Warcraft Mountains for a longer period of time, so he would have to eat and drink. The Thunder are no longer satisfied with just getting the job done. Today there is such a big reward for just killing the junior swordsman, but what about the Warcraft in the Warcraft Mountains? He also fantasizes about killing monsters and leveling up quickly. Kill the monsters, upgrade. Feng Yue had already appeared outside his villa without making a sound. She directly pushed the gate of opening, and then she was dumbfounded. She saw Lei Lei dancing with his hands and feet and humming a strange song. Killing monsters. Good, wonderful, awesome. Lei Lei, who was humming a tune, suddenly froze when he saw the figure that suddenly appeared. You little fool, you actually have some leisure time. Feng Yurier smiled slightly, and her depressed mood relaxed a lot. Sister Yue, why are you here suddenly? Lei Lei's face turned red after reacting. Why, you're not welcome. How can there be? Lei Lei stretched out his hand to scratch his hair shyly, but what he didn't know was that when he stretched out his hand, he opened the collar around his neck, and unexpectedly, the scar was revealed. Feng Yue's pupils shrank and her expression became subtle. When she healed Lei Ting, there were no scars on her neck at all. How come? Also, this scar. Feng Yue looked surprised, her eyes widened a lot, it was a sword wound. How is it possible? Where did it come from? Thinking of Haoshan, his eyes suddenly looked sharply at Lei Lei and asked directly. Thunder, did you go to the back mountain today? Back mountain. Lei Lei was stunned and looked surprised. How could Sister Yue ask about this? He said immediately without having time to think about it. Yes. What to do? Feng Yuer's face darkened. Quote. Lei Lei fell silent. Why don't you want to tell the truth? What are you afraid of? Feng Yurier smiled, but her sharp eyes pierced Lei Lei, making him a little uneasy. You fool. Feng Yue suddenly reached out and grabbed Lei Lei's collar, pressed her fingers on the scar on his neck, and asked with a gloomy face, where did this sword wound come from? Don't say that it was accidentally touched by me. Well, Sister Yue knows everything. Lei Ting was a little surprised and speechless, and said carefully. He never expected that he would be discovered in just a few hours. Too careless. Why, you still want to quibble? The college has found the body in the back mountain. Feng Yuer put down Lei Lei, stared at Lei Lei with her beautiful eyes, and said coldly, tell the truth. I killed him. Why, he followed me. Lei Lei said with a wry smile. The last time I was attacked by a monster, it was him. Why don't you take him to me? I'm worried he ran away. Sister Uaa is so powerful that if she scares him away, I won't be able to find out who is behind the scenes. Did you find out? No. HMPH. Why do you have to hide your strength? This. Feng Yuei looked at the silent Lei Lei, and her teeth itched with anger. Why did this fool like to hide things? Okay, everyone has a secret. If you don't want to tell it, forget it. Sister Yuei is aware of this. Of course, Lei Lei didn't mean to deceive Sister Yuei, but he couldn't tell the truth about the system, and it was hard to tell lies, because Sister Yuei really took care of him. I hope you won't deceive Jar's feelings, otherwise. Sister Yuei, I am sincere to Jar. Huh, Feng Yuei snorted coldly. I didn't die by the sword. Hee, it's a fluke. Lei Lei said sheepishly, I almost didn't come back. Let's go. Feng Yuer glared and walked outside. Where to go? Try your strength. Thunder suddenly became interested and fought with the magician. In the mountain behind the college, there is a small artificial lake. The lake is surrounded by trees tens of meters tall, and the overall environment is relatively claustrophobic. The sky is getting dark. Feng Yuei and Lei Lei appeared at the lake one after another. The environment here is claustrophobic, and no one will come after nightfall. Feng Yuei looked up at the completely darkened sky, and a bright moon rose in the distant sky. Go ahead, don't hold back. After saying that, Feng Yuei wiped her right hand on her left hand and took out a magic wand out of thin air. As she danced, the surrounding elements seemed to come alive. It's actually a space ring. This was the first time Lei Lei saw a space ring, and he was just stunned for a moment. When he noticed the condensing elements, his expression suddenly became solemn, and he clenched the long sword in his right hand. The breeze blew, the water rippled, and thunder instantly moved. He stepped on the ground and pounced quickly. Sister Yuei, be careful. Feng Yuei looked surprised. She was so fast. Is this the same Lei Lei who was known as a waste? Come on. But he was only surprised for a moment, and a jerky spell was quickly completed. As the staff in his hand danced, a ball of light the size of a basketball formed in front of him. Level 3 Light Magic, Light Ball. The bright ball of light was like a laser, flying rapidly towards the thunder. Yeah, so fast. Lei Lei's bright eyes were fixed on the ball of light that was coming towards him, and the figure that was charging quickly turned around and dodged somersaults. His movements were extremely fast and he showed very solid basic physical skills. Sudden, 3 more balls of light shot over. Not good. The body that had not yet stood firm had no time to dodge, and quickly formed seals with both hands. Instant technique. Bang! A bright light burst out in the darkness, illuminating the lakeside. Well, how did this kid escape? Feng Yuer's pupils shrank sharply. The level 3 magic light bullet is very fast. In the situation just now, even the intermediate swordsman may not be able to dodge it, but Thunder did it. This, Sister Yuei, it's so dangerous. Do you want to kill me? Thunder's voice rang by the lake. Feng Yuei was stunned for a moment and almost laughed. Although Lei Lei avoided the attack of the light ball, he was also swept away by the aftermath of the light ball's explosive power and fell into the lake. His clothes were covered with mud, and he looked a little embarrassed. Boy, we've just started, why can't we do it now? Feng Yuer mocked. No, how could it be possible? It's a man. Lei Lei suddenly suppressed his anger and looked at Feng Yuei, whose face turned gloomy, and said quickly, come again. You have a smooth tongue, you have eaten the courage of a leopard, boy, you are seeking death. Feng Yuer was angry, and he actually dared to tease me, and the clay figurine was still angry. As she moved, the elements around her became more active. With the wave of the staff, arrows of light were formed in the void. Boy, level 4 magic, be careful. Go, arrow of skylight. Sister Yuei, you're serious. Lei Lei looked at the light arrow flying towards him. He believed that it would definitely be pierced if it hit him. Not daring to be careless, he quickly formed seals with his hands. As the last seal was formed, the figure immediately disappeared within the strike range of the light arrow. Instant technique. What? Disappeared. Feng Yuei thought about Lei Lei's helpless escape from the light arrows, and also thought about Lei Lei's quick retreat and distance, but she never expected that Lei Lei suddenly disappeared in front of her eyes. Space. No. Before she could think too much, she was attracted by the power fluctuation not far away from her. As this power fluctuated, when Lei Lei's figure appeared again, it was already not far from her side. Thunder, you surprised me again. Haha, Sister Yue, the surprise is still coming, now it's my turn. Really, however, your movements seem to be a bit slow. Feng Yurier waved her staff and used a magic spell she had prepared in an instant. Chains of light stretched out in the void, binding Thunder's limbs and body, preventing him from moving. This is level 4 binding magic. Even the great swordsman cannot break free easily. The thunder is over. Sister Yue, it's too early to speak. With a sound of bang, Lei Lei's figure suddenly turned into a piece of wood. Replacement technique. At the moment when the magic was formed, Thunder also used the substitute technique to escape again. Impossible. Feng Yuermei's eyes widened, looking at the section of tree turned into by the thunder. Her understanding of the world's power system was suddenly shattered. What kind of martial arts is this? No, what kind of magic is it? Magic. Lei Lei looked at Feng Yue's shocked expression and was very satisfied. He smiled and said, let's call it magic, right? A kind of stand-in magic. After hearing Lei Lei's words, Feng Yuer suddenly fell into deep thought. Substitute magic. Is there such magic? For the first time, she felt that her knowledge was not profound enough. Sister Yue, I was beaten by you, now it's my turn. Lei Lei interrupted Feng Yue's contemplation. Looking at Lei Lei who was getting closer and closer, he was suddenly startled. Feng Yue frowned, and the unfamiliar spell sounded again. As the staff waved, a stream of light balls shot towards Thunder. Lei Lei looked at the enlarging light ball. What a fast reaction speed, but strange power. The fighting energy in his body condensed towards his legs, and then he stepped down, and the terrifying power exploded instantly. Bang! The earth cracked, and pieces of soil flew towards the ball of light. Bang! Bang! Continuous explosions continued to sound in the darkness. Under the cover of the afterglow of the explosion, Lei Lei quickly formed seals with his hands, and the power in his body quickly condensed toward his throat, and then a fireball shot out in front. Fire style. Great fireball technique. The terrifying flames directly swallowed up the obstacles in front and bombarded the pretty figure in front. How is it possible? It's fire magic. Feng Yue stared at the sudden burst of fireballs. She didn't have time to think too much. As she waved her staff, the elements of light continued to condense in front of her. Shield of light. As Feng Yuer's words fell, a huge light shield formed in front of her. Boom! The moment the flame hit the light shield, a violent roar suddenly sounded in the night sky, startling countless birds, and could not be subsided for a long time. It's not too much. Lei Lei looked at the terrifying power that exploded, and was secretly shocked. He had used a full 80 points of mental energy for this great fireball, and its power had exceeded his expectations. After a moment, the flames subsided, and Lei Lei secretly breathed a sigh of relief when he looked at the intact Feng Yue. But Feng Yue was no longer so calm. The light shield she used was actually torn apart by the bombardment of the flames. At that moment, she could clearly feel the heat of the flames and the threat of death. Her level 5 protection magic was almost broken by thunder. In general, the battle between magics can only be broken by magics of the same level or higher. Thunder actually almost did it, and it was something that only a great magician could do. A pair of beautiful eyes stared closely at Lei Lei. Is this still the Lei Lei who carries the reputation of a waste? Sister Yue, I'm sorry, I didn't know it would be like this. Lei Lei felt Feng Yue's eyes staring closely at him and quickly explained. I didn't know that this little fireball was so powerful. Little fireball, little guy, your little fireball will kill you. Feng Yue put away her staff and was immediately amused by thunder and smiled. Her smile was like the spring breeze blowing by, making Lei Lei dumbfounded. This fool. Lei Lei looked stupid. How could he escape her eyes? And his face turned cold. Boy, you passed the test, you can go to the Warcraft Mountains to do the mission alone. What? Sister Yue, you are testing me. Yes, if your strength is not up to par, forget about completing the task. I will arrange for Yang Shui to complete it for you. What? Yang Shui. When Lei Lei heard this name, he thought of the two figures in the mission hall, and a shadow suddenly appeared. Then it was you who arranged for Yang Shui to get close to me. That's right. Why? For your safety. Hearing this, Lei Lei felt warm in his heart. He recognized this eldest sister. Okay, let's go. The movement here has alarmed the academy. Feng Yue raised her head and looked into the distance, as if she could see figures rushing towards this side. Go back, let me handle this. Lei Lei nodded, then turned and left. Thunder, I believe that the eagle will spread its wings and fly one day. At that time, everyone in the academy will be amazed. Even the imperial capital will be impressed by you. Lei Lei's leaving figure trembled slightly. Sister Yue, I can do it. This time, won't be too far away. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.